I was too busy.
Hey, Ravi said
I was
hit
too
it. Ravi said
entertained.
stop talking and hit it.
Yeah, I kind of just need you to hit the button that makes us actually go out to people. Welcome in, Hurrdat Sports Live.
Everybody wakes up on jerk status today.
Presented by Sjuts Federal Credit Union. That's
What?
DB.
Well,
That's Shane.
why so hostile?
Well, I mean, because it's like a really critical part of what we do here.
I'm still traumatized from that phone call.
Yeah. Can I say I'm a little traumatized this morning too?
Why? What happened?
I think I may have made a dear error.
You always do. What makes today any different?
Well, so my wife, as kind and lovely as she is,
oh, here we go.
made some breakfast burritos.
Okay,
She froze them. She's like, "Hey, you want me to warm me one up this morning?" I was like, "Sure, that would be great."
that's kind.
Yeah, it was really nice of her. And so she warms me up. It's a very good burrito. Got some black beans, cheese, eggs, a little bit of meat in there. It's really good.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
What do you mean a little bit of meat?
Well, I mean, it was just it wasn't probably as meat centric as you would have liked,
Okay.
but it was a nice combination of ingredients, I thought.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I remembered that she made these burritos out of, I don't know if you've seen these tortillas that have like 107% of your daily fiber in them.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
you already have a problem.
I don't know how this is going to go, is what I mean. As I'm like 3/4 of the way through the burrito, I was like, is this one of those? Oh, no. Plus, there's some black beans in there, which is going to kind of add fuel to the fire a little bit.
Just a laxative. You know, the funny thing is normally.
It's a lot of fiber, man.
Normally, you don't get up. You can sit through you can just sit there.
I almost always sit here.
I get up every break.
Yeah.
I walk around.
Yep.
Yesterday, you're like, oh, shoot, man, I probably should have got up. I was like, yeah, you sat the whole time.
Yeah, because I got up at the end and my legs were stiff. I was like, I probably need to walk around a little bit.
You'll be getting up today, won't you?
I don't know how long fiber takes to get through the system.
Well, for my sake, I hope forever.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's like a little longer digestive.
Is it affecting your mood at all? Or?
No, I just realized it, and I'm a little concerned now.
No, okay.
I'm in an okay mood still, but I do feel like there's some impending doom.
So I just wondered, like you were awful short with our little friend over there.
Well, no, I just
Okay.
It's hard to do a show if it's not live.
It's ridiculous.
And so here's the problem too. Here's the real issue. Besides the fiber and my concern for what's going to happen to my bowels later. So I've got the go live button right here, but I didn't want to hit it because the go live button turns into the end stream button as soon as you hit it.
Right.
So I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to hit it myself, and then Shane goes and tries to hit it right after, and then he would end our stream right after it started. So I was like, kind of felt like I should do something, but also that it might go badly if I do. So I just like, hey, Shane, can you hit that button for me, bud?
That's what I always do, and they never catch me. Ain't nobody gonna catch me.
It is what you usually do. It was out of character for it not to happen because normally you're right on it. So he is. Normally goes live perfectly, no problems.
Shane, you good?
That's okay, Mommy. I won't forget. I remember.
Were you listening to my conversation with VJ? Shane?
We might be in the danger zone.
Why?
I was.
TK says about an hour to an hour and a half.
You know TK would know.
In terms of I know, I trust him because he just seems to know things. And he's kind of like my mom where you ever have that where you're like, I don't know something about something, so like I'm just going to call my mom and like.
Yeah, sometimes randomly, like later in the day, he'll come back and fill in the blanks for me.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know.
But it's like he just knows things like he's an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
He
does have some 80-year-old components to it.
And so like I remember years ago, I needed to get something notarized. It's my divorce papers.
It's pretty important.
And so I
took that to my admin assistant at the time.
I was like, Mom, where do I get stuff notarized? And she's like, oh, just go over to so-and-so bank. Every one of their tellers is a notary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dope, let's go. This is great. I work across the street for one. But like, I didn't know where to get stuff notarized. I didn't know if I was like a lawyer or something. So TK is basically the mom of the show. He just knows stuff that I need to know.
As the 24-year-old.
Yeah, he's much more mature than I think both of us.
Freshly No.
No, you're not like super mature.
I'm way mature.
You have gum in your ears or?
It was gum. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what I mean. You got like sometimes it's kind of.
How about
clogs it up
I'm
a
not
little
even
bit.
gonna let Jacob get me fired up. But I did not say AJ Ferrari with a first period pen. I said pen. Now that time I did it on purpose.
Okay, I was gonna say, dear God, you can't tell me
It's
that
it's pen, and he keeps saying I said pen, but I didn't. I said pen. I'm not.
I'm not doing it today.
I'm not either.
I'm not
But I'm shaken by the phone call coming in, so I'm trying to still get my. Who calls you a cocksucker at 6:40 in the morning?
Yeah, you usually wait till like 9:40.
I barely say it. I save it for
That's what I
Verzal
said.
when he's at his very
I was gonna
worst.
say you usually save it till like 9:40 on a Friday.
VJ just drops it on me freely.
Well, I mean,
And then said he said F me like 3 times. Do you know why? Do you know why?
for funsies.
Talk about, I root for people. I need the good piece of cheese.
Yeah.
I said, VJ, get the cert. He's having some Achilles issues.
Ooh.
He says he tore it. I'm going to take him at his word. He's functioning as though, I don't know, maybe he's just tougher than I think. But Achilles are usually more debilitating.
Sure.
And unless he's leading on, he's on crutches.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to have surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked the question, should I have the surgery? I said, look, man, don't have the surgery.
Yeah.
Just put yourself back together. You like to be active.
Hard to be active with a torn Achilles.
And he's gonna be fit. He's gonna be 50.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, VJ, and he called to get my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I called him back. Right. I said, hey man, have the surgery. Man, F you.
That was he wanted to hear something from you.
No, wait. So I give it time.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. A laugh afterwards.
No.
Nothing. It's a little awkward silence.
Stone
I'm
cold.
like, really? He's like, don't tell me that. So then it turns into a little mini argument.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, I'm for him, right? Like,
Mhm.
I said, listen, if I wasn't afraid of your dogs, I would come help you. I told him yesterday I could cook.
What kind of dogs you got?
Oh, they're killers. 2 of them.
Yeah.
They are
Mean-spirited?
Yes.
Mm.
He can control them.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I went over there to finish getting ready for Calvin's funeral because he lives right down the street from the church. So he's like, hey, just come pick me up. Finish getting ready. Hey, man, you better do something with that dog. I'm just saying.
You weren't like, can't pet that dog?
So as I'm walking in, I think Shane can
Can I pet that dog?
clearly hear what he's saying.
I heard the dog part on your end, and I was like, whose dogs are you afraid of?
And he's just, I'm like, that's why you can't have friends. So I think of you because you tell me I'm friends with people that don't treat me well.
Yeah, you friends with some jerks.
I just got annihilated.
Present company included. Although I will say, when I hear some of these like one-ended phone calls, I'm like, oh, I'm way nicer to you than these people.
I was fairly entertained.
No, he's funny.
Are you not entertained?
He's nuts too, like all the way certifiable.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So you were. It was a interesting way to start the morning.
I mean, could you believe that was a friend?
I could believe it was one of your friends.
This dude said, "Man, I bet he cussed at me like 15 times."
I mean, once you sat down next to me, I could hear a decent amount of conversation, and because he wasn't like being quiet.
No, he's loud.
I think he cussed at you 15 times from the time you sat down next to me.
He called me an effer.
Like
I'm like, it's too early for this.
He makes 9 to 10 on Fridays look like a church service.
Oh man, he's funny though. But I'm shook a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a minute to compose yourself.
Yeah, that was tough. I'm like, drive in. He hit me with the 911. Like, I didn't have my phone. Let me see if he's okay.
Yeah.
It's early.
So he like texts you 911 like this is an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was just asking about the surgery.
Yeah. I didn't know that's what he
Is
wanted.
the surgery today?
It's supposed to be. And
okay. So it is an emergency consultation.
I think he's
Okay.
gonna no show.
What's he gonna do? Just go around with a busted up Achilles the rest of his life?
He has this miraculous healing plan. He said, "Look, man,
Is he like gonna go to one of
God
Aaron
is
Rodgers?
blankety blank good. All right." I said, "Okay," and I get it. When I tore my groin from the bone, I let a guy put me back together, and I had seen 2 specialists. One was down in Lincoln, and he's like, "Look, when Dr. Heiser said there's no guarantee the surgery will work," I was like, "Yep, I'm out."
Yeah, here's the thing though. Achilles surgeries do work. Like those are pretty standard.
Yeah.
Like I get it's a tough recovery, but like they know what they're doing. That's not a tricky surgery.
Who's the new guy? Whose bed did he just get out of?
Probably his own.
Certainly not his own.
Well, you gotta understand though.
That's my dude, Austin. Oh man, I got to get my composure.
He's surly this morning, Austin. You gotta be careful.
Well, I just got chopped up for no reason. And it caught me off guard. It was so funny how mad he was.
Yeah.
I couldn't, you heard me, right? Like I couldn't even really respond.
Yeah, you weren't getting many words in.
I was like, I might just have to take this.
It's also kind of funny, like, okay, so he called you to get your advice.
Originally, I called him back.
But he was the one texting 911
Yeah,
like, hey, it's emergency, let's do this.
Yeah.
And he called you asking your advice.
Yeah.
And then you give your advice, which is to get the surgery because Achilles tendons famously do not heal on their own.
And got cussed out.
And then he gave you the business because that apparently was not the answer he wanted.
Yes.
I think you need better friends, man. I'm just gonna say, I think you need better friends.
Oh man.
At least Vers lets you I can see some of the
and their boys too. Shocker.
I'm stunned.
I think Maddie used to buy his veggies from.
It's a birds of a feather
VJ.
situation there. No, I can at least see, and I don't know VJ as well as I know Vers. Not that I know Vers super well, but I've been around him.
Yeah.
I can see some of the redeeming qualities about Vers, right? Like he does look out for you, even though like he'll say crazy things, but I see him.
VJ takes care of me.
Okay.
He looks out.
All right. So there's some cheese.
It does come with a cost though.
Okay.
It does come with a cost. You're gonna have to put up with a lot of tomfoolery. Well, remember we sat together at the open scrimmage.
Oh, that's
remember?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was too locked in on Keona Davis. I didn't really know
Yeah,
what
that's
was going
weird.
on around me.
That was weird.
I was like, that's my guy. Let's go.
I brought this because I want you to try this.
Oh, what do we got? Is that one of those protein bars?
Now I'm worried because it's granola, so you don't need any. You don't need any more.
I don't need any more
relax. So I brought these home. So I didn't read the inside of this until I got home.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's
Somebody dropped you off a nice little gift.
Yeah, right. And he's like, "Hey, what's that grab?"
Oh, I thought you read that when you were here.
Well, I didn't get the whole deal.
Oh, gotcha.
Like I was trying to skim because I could barely read, and I had to get on the interstate. Well, I mean, I needed my glasses.
No, I know. I get it. Rico says he knows VJ pretty well. He ain't getting that surgery.
That's right. And Rico knows he's a menace. He is an absolute menace.
Oh, that's funny.
Does what he wants when he wants.
That's fair. Listen, I respect it on a certain
So
level.
Rico, he understands full well. So Rico, I had him on for 22 minutes this morning.
Oh, so your phone time's all booked up for the week.
Well, yeah. So I'm good. So I don't have to do anything. So once I get to so from 9:40 to I was done yesterday, almost at 3.
You're not talking to anybody
except the people there. So I won't need my phone. I'm good.
You can reset a little bit.
No sporting events going on. Is there day baseball today?
Maybe, but it's not important.
Yeah, not enough for me to care to see what's going on. I'm good. Yeah. That will be my allotted talk time.
Yeah.
And as you heard, I barely talked.
Yeah, you're gonna shut it down after 3 though.
Yeah, he had me
ride home
for 20 minutes.
No music, nothing. All right, what do we got on the protein bar?
So I get home,
or a granola bar.
So I didn't get back until probably 3:45ish.
Okay.
So Ryder was just getting home, but she's gonna turn right around and leave to go back to Lincoln.
Mm.
She wanted to go watch flag football. She's into flag football now. She's very mad. She wanted me to text coach and say, she's pretty pissed at that they don't have her grade. Starts at 3rd grade.
Yeah.
But he had green litter to do the drills anyway. He's like, just do it.
Just
like
hop in.
It's fine. But of course, nobody's her age, and so she was but she wanted to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go. I was not getting ready to get back on the interstate. So I was like, hey, I'll pack your bag. So she got a little drink and she's thumbing through my bag because she thinks any bag is a gift. So I read it to her, and I was like, because he said, "Hey, I heard you mention that Zoe likes orange vanilla this morning. Thought she might like our orange vanilla granola bars."
Mhm.
And she's like, "For me?" And I was like, "Oh, not necessarily." I said, "Let's just try." So I opened the vanilla cinnamon. It's another flavor. She took a bite. She opened the box. She put 2 more in her lunchbox.
Just
I was
grabbed him.
like, "Oh." So hang on. I'm not even gonna eat them. It was just the principle of the
Yeah.
matter,
She didn't ask. She wasn't like, "Hey, can I have a couple more?"
right? I wasn't gonna take her stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But I did want to try the cinnamon vanilla. Not gonna lie,
Like to
right?
try some flavors.
So she puts 2 more in the deal, and I'm like, okay, we're down to 3. Fine. She knocks on the door this morning. She's got a long day. Everybody's gonna be gone for quite a bit of time. This little girl comes in and is basically looking for her beef stick snacks and the granola bars. She said the ice thing, it's just a thing that you use for your knees, and it
Yeah.
comes you pack with
Yeah.
it, and I have
It's like a
several.
cooler ice
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I have several, and she said, "Is the ice ready?" I looked at this little. I'm like, "Look, number one, you're going to your daycare provider's house.
Mhm.
She has a fridge. You're good, and second of all, it's 6:22. Like, mix in a good morning.
Just every once in a while, like, "Hey, what's
Yeah,
up?"
as you're banging on the door, just mix in a good morning." And she said, "We're leaving before you." And I said, "Yeah, right." That ain't happening. I mean, this is the kind of conversations that I had this morning to get my day started.
Yeah.
My rambunctious little terror and my adult menace.
Yeah. See, so I really feel like when
You need to try this though.
I really feel like when you come in and talk to me, it's just like a breath of fresh air. Like
No.
it's refreshing.
I like what you're trying to do.
It's
You're trying to pull a Jacob.
rejuvenating.
You're not
I'm
Jedi
the
mind.
good guy here.
That was incredible. His and I'm like, look, man, I know what you're trying to
He's
do.
trying to gaslight you is what he's
Oh,
trying to
he
do.
sure did. Everybody knows the difference between pen and pen. Pen,
Everybody.
pen. AJ Ferrari with a first period pen. Which, by the way, are you guys? Can I just give a little backstory here?
Okay.
Shane, if I want Jessica to come on the show, I'd like to be part of the interview. This dude hits me with. Now, keep in mind,
Nothing would please
I
me
have
more.
to be back down in Lincoln at 9.
Yep.
Jessica's gonna be on at 9.
Yep.
What was my Shane? Are you serious? Like, we're in the same interviewing process.
That's fine.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
How in
But
that?
it's fine. I mean, we got a quasi adult in the room.
I do
and
my best.
one other guy. I'm sure you guys can handle it. But that was part of
You wanted to talk to her.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good job, Shane.
We can have her on again.
What's that?
We can have her on again next week if
No,
you
it's
want.
fine. I'll see her plenty in the fall.
I don't even recognize.
But that made no sense. But I didn't have the energy to get upset.
You know, you didn't want to fight it this morning.
So I'm like, well,
No big deal.
apparently we're just going to throw AJ some curveballs. Let me give him the cliffs.
I thought, whoa.
But he was just finishing up his rendezvous, so I don't know if he got the memo or not. My dude. That's funny.
Yeah.
Apparently, AJ, you don't sleep much either, huh? Good for you. It's overrated.
Nobody can do that.
Although, your boy,
Yeah.
I want to shout out.
Yeah.
11:17 to 5:07. I did not look at the clock.
That's almost 6 full hours.
Were
Were you asleep for any of that time?
Yeah.
Most of it?
Yeah.
Good.
I took 4.
That's like a PR almost for you.
Yeah, it is. I took these core 21 things.
Yeah.
4 of them. Said 3.
You're
I'm like,
I'm
this-
built different.
this is a marathon. These next, like, it's just long days.
Yeah. So you need to get a little sleep.
I mean, we're going back to last Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
I do that sometimes. Like,
today, yesterday.
got
That's a lot of talking for your boy.
little tricks if I need to get a little extra sleep.
I'm like, man.
Yeah.
So I feel
Doctor prescribed tricks. I'm not doing
I think
anything weird.
that's why I took I think that's why I took what I took, the negative energy from BJ this morning.
Yeah, because you got a little extra sleep.
I was fine.
So you're like, it's all right.
It was funny.
It-
I didn't see my guys this morning. I didn't see Scott and the family.
That's what he said. He said that he missed you this morning. He was in the chat.
Oh, well, did they walk? I left at the same time.
I don't know.
I mean, they weren't even. So it's a long block.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get them at the beginning. Sometimes I get them down towards the park. I didn't see them at all. I shouldn't even say
Did
this.
you circle the block looking for him?
I didn't circle. Wow, I'm such a bad liar. I turned towards the park and then I came back around. I didn't circle the block though.
You like U'd the block, not a full circle.
Is it a U? It's more like it's like half the circumference of a cereal bowl.
You like seed the block.
Yeah, so I like it's a C, not a U. I was like, oh, where are they?
So I think the key here is you did extra driving looking
It's
for
fine.
them.
I don't know how much extra it was. It was a little bit off the normal path.
You made a conscious effort.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just was trying to see. I wanted to see the dogs.
Oh, they were a little late this morning.
Oh, they were
they
later.
were a little
Oh, so
later.
they were probably behind me.
Yeah.
Oh, I went the wrong
Should
way.
have circled the other way. You should have seed the other way. Seed.
That'd be going back towards my house. I was not going to do that.
You're not.
I
You're not.
wanted to see the dogs.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I should know. Well, there's a lot of dog talk yesterday during our process. Like everybody was talking about their dogs.
Scott said
I'm glad you're reading because my eyesight is horrible. this morning.
Chihuahua Yorkie mixes. I think.
I
Yeah,
told
you
you it
said-
gave me some
yeah.
Chihuahua vibes.
Chihuahua Yorkie mixes. I think.
Yeah,
is what he said
they're
yesterday.
teeny.
Yeah.
I think there's like 4.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I think he said 4 or 3 or 4. Yeah, they're little dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm well rested.
So in the interviews, everybody was talking about their dogs yesterday.
It seemed like it,
Can I be honest?
except the interviewee.
Except for the guy, does he not have any dogs?
Well, we stuck around, and so we were talking, and
Jess is like obsessed with her dog, right?
it's a sickness. Listen, I'm bad.
More or worse than me.
Way worse.
Okay, because I'm pretty obsessed with my dogs.
Way worse.
Okay.
Ask
Might
her-
be the thing I appreciate the most about Jess.
Ask her, can she go to bars without her dog?
Oh. Okay.
She's a dog bar mom.
She's got like a purse dog,
I'm telling
like
you.
that can fit in like the bag.
She asked. She's like, "Hey,
That's not judgment. I'm just asking.
I'm upstairs on the 3rd floor. Where are you?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Whatever."
Did she take her dog on the road?
I'm 9 minutes out. I'm like, "Give you extra time to take care of your dog."
Mhm.
It's like, "Oh, you know it." Just took her out for a walk and seeing if we could kill any rabbits. I was like, "What?
Oh, they've got a pit mix too. I like you, Scott.
How are you so casual about your dog just killing rabbits?" And she goes, "It's been forever. I'm desensitized." I was like, that sounds like something I would say.
Did I ever tell you about the time Roggy killed a bunch of rabbits?
No, I don't enjoy those.
No.
I'm team rabbit.
That's not what the funny part is. So when I had first gotten Roggy, he was a few months old, and I was going down to Houston to see my sister. So Raj and his family watched Roggy, and they've got a fenced yard. They got another dog and stuff. It's cool. But apparently they had a little bunny nest in the backyard they weren't aware of.
Mhm.
And Roggy found it because he's a German Shepherd mix. And so, of course, he found it.
We got a listener that has a beautiful German.
Really?
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And so Roggy, of course, murders all the baby bunnies. And so his kids, who are pretty young at the time,
There's a funny part to this story.
this is the funny part to me, which is why I'm a bad person. His kids were like traumatized.
Oh, the joy.
They were like, no, here's the funny part though.
Why is that?
Because they were like so genuine. They like asked my brother and his wife, they're like, why would Roggy do that? Like they just couldn't comprehend like the predator prey thing of like dogs.
That's
And-
funny to
And they
you?
were like, yeah. When she told me, I laughed a lot actually, because I was like,
You're a horrible person.
she was like, they were just like, why would Roggy do that? And then later when they were like doing their prayers before bed or whatever, they're like, dear God, please help Roggy not to kill any more baby bunnies.
Hey, for the FTR, as the kids would say in the group chat.
Pretty funny.
You don't give me any grief about being enamored with serial killers. You're chuckling at kids being traumatized over death.
It's like a little light trauma. It's not real trauma. It's like medium trauma.
Wow, scintillating.
Scott, apparently they've got the 2 Chihuahua mixes and Yorkie mixes, a Min Pin. Which is a miniature
that's
pincher.
Yeah, I used to. So we had a teammate with one of those, Michael Booker.
Yeah,
had a Min Pin.
And then
He was one of the first guys that had like a house in a yard.
Oh, I like Min Pins. They're cute dogs.
They are. I used to want one, but everybody said they're like rambunctious and
They do look a little menacey.
Like terrors.
And he's got a pit mix, which is near and dear to my heart. I love my pit mixes.
Yeah, I used to want a Min Pin.
Those are good dogs.
Super loyal too. So it's like, I don't know. But anyway, so ask her about that, and then
All right, Oscar about the bar dogs. Yeah.
and then she said she brought Ridge Levitt over to me
Yeah.
because she said I was being a baby and I was in a horrible mood. I'm like,
So she brought you over like a little treat to make
I was in a horrible mood before we had to do the spring game. I was probably scared knowing that we were going to do a broadcast and I had no idea what it was.
I would say I could imagine you not being real comfortable before the spring
No,
activities.
you're missing the point. She said I was being a baby, so she brought Ridge over to me. Does that I'm 50. Not 10 and need a new rabbit. Oh, here's Ridge.
Well,
Cheer up.
You need a new rabbit of Rockies around.
It did work though. I'm like, damn, what's up, Ridge? We kind of had a moment for about 5-6 minutes before I had to go back to work.
So she accurately diagnosed and fixed your problem.
I feel like it was a little strong with the baby in bad mood.
but it worked out.
You ends that justifies the means people drive me up the wall. Yeah, you eventually landed the plane, but I killed like 74 passengers along the way. I saved 7. We're good.
No, it would be more like
you can't just fast.
No. That's not the right analogy here. The right analogy would be like, all right, you gave me 74 and 7, so there's 81 people on the plane, right?
Yeah.
The analogy would be, okay, it was a terrible flight, tons of turbulence, everybody threw up, the oxygen masks come down, but all 81 survived. That's the ends justifying the means.
No, the whole baby bad mood thing is not accurate.
That's the throwing up during the flight, and then the pilot goes, "But are you dead?"
Ridge was probably like, "What a weirdo." That is going to be fascinating. We had a segment on it. Actually, it was a long segment.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't remember how many minutes we had. Of course, we didn't stay on clock. But like the first half of Sports Nightly was wrestling.
Yeah.
And I told her, it's like, I remember the days, you're talking 14, 15, 16. And Coach Manning had been there for a sec. And people were disgruntled that there would be top 6 finishes or top 7 finishes. And he historically would have these good runs in nationals. And people would be down on the season. And I'm like, you guys, this is the big flipping 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough. And I love the fact now that the last handful of years, as he's actually gotten better, he's put some substance to being a lifelong learner because he's always said that. He's like, hey, I just want to continue to grow. And I would tell people in our former life, we would have him on. I'm like, hey, you got the youth program going, kind of changed the recruiting philosophy. Like, you could see him evolving. And now you could get to a point where they're actually kind of loaded. And it's just cool because the trajectory has gone up, which I guess typically makes it trajectory. No, because trajectory
can have a downward
trajectory. Yeah, you can have a downward. So the trajectory is going up, which at this stage in his career, that's what you want, right?
And not common when you're this deep into it.
And she made a good point, unfortunately, when she said, and it sounds a lot like this other guy that we're kind of enamored with. And I'm like, yeah, the weird thing is those were probably the first 2 guys that hit it off were Coach Manning and Coach Rule.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that he's had Manning talk to the team several times.
But he's been to several practices because at heart, Coach Manning's a football guy.
Oh, is he?
Oh, yeah. His twin, yeah.
I'm not sure I knew that.
He coached them. They're playing now at the high school level. One's a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a football guy.
Mm.
He coached his youth team.
Yeah.
So anyway, that might be all the wrestling talk you get, fellas.
No, we'll get a little more with Jess.
Yeah, except I'll be on the interstate. I was
That's
never
all
mind.
might be all the wrestling talk you get.
AJ and you and Shane can handle it. Oh, there's my man, Terrell. Hey, Terrell, I don't have the heart to say what VJ said, but I'll call you. I'm telling. I'm definitely telling. Trouble T-Rail. That's my dude.
Coming up on the show today, we're going to
Dude,
talk.
our chat is insane.
Dude, it's wild. It's wild.
Terrell just pops in. I didn't know. See, I'm not a Facebook guy.
Yeah. That's like the one you don't have, right?
What are my choices?
So you have Instagram.
I don't. Yeah. Not great with
you
it.
at least have it to consume
Yep.
stuff on.
Yep.
You have
yep.
TikTok.
I totally. What's the word I use?
Lurker.
Yeah.
You're a lurker.
No.
I mean, that's what the kids call it.
What is it that I say I do? We'll go with lurk. It sounds better than the word I was gonna say.
Okay. So you're an Instagram lurker, but you have it.
Yep.
TikTok, kind of the same.
Yep. Although I might get into TikTok.
You might start making videos.
Yeah. I'm like, for whatever the reason, I interacted with a couple of people and I'm starting, like, the followers are starting. I don't know if I could get into TikTok. I like it to consume information, not to give it.
That's generally how I've posted some stuff. Usually it's clips that just the guy sent me.
Yep. So I have TikTok.
That's about all I do. Twitter, you're the most active on probably.
Yep.
That's about all of them.
Is it?
You have Snapchat?
Yeah, but I uninstalled it.
Oh, did you? All right.
It's just,
They made some changes to the app I don't love.
you kept getting ads.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ads, and now there's like
I'm like, well, I don't like Choice. Why are you sending me stuff about Choice Hilton?
now they're giving me like notifications on stuff that I don't follow.
Yeah.
And it's randos. It's not even people I know. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Right.
Because I'm a clear my notifications guy, so I don't like having.
I laugh because I get it.
I'm a little OCD with the notifications. I like having them cleaned up on the social stuff. So
There's two things that we have to hurry and get to before I have to leave.
okay.
One is the list I sent you.
Okay.
Okay, the best quarterback wide receiver duos.
Yep.
The other one is I got a little sidetracked with Irsay's daughter.
Okay.
And what she's doing in Indianapolis, being on the sidelines.
Mm.
And as owner, acting owner, she has headsets on. And
I don't think acting anymore. I mean, now she's like official. At the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to read kind of the tweet in terms that the NFL put out about what she does. And I thought, is this micromanaging or is this good business practice?
Mm.
Where, she says, and it has quotes, so I'm assuming
she actually
said it,
mm-hmm.
But she's like, hey, I'm listening to these play calls, and you can basically, the gist of it was, you can tell if the receiver ran the wrong route or he was tagged wrong. It makes it helps you make less expensive bad decisions.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I'm buying that. You have to spend a fair amount of time in meetings and game planning.
I'd say she'd have to have a really good.
It would have to be tremendous.
Yeah.
Like if you got a Y tag on the end, and sometimes the verbiage changes
mm-hmm.
because people at the line of scrimmage, the Levante Davids of the world, study jargon.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have to constantly be in the know.
Yeah, you'd have to be
for somebody to not tell you afterwards,
yeah.
but you to know ahead of time, like real time.
You'd have to be pretty deep into it.
I'm like, do you have that kind of time?
I mean, what else are they doing?
So then I was wondering, is that micromanaging or is that good business? So they know how they're spending their money on OCs.
So, well, not just on OCs, but probably on receivers too, right?
Which led me to, in my DMs, Denny sent me a great question. He's like, hey, how many OC quarterback combinations would you take over Dana and Dylan in 2025?
Mm.
And I not to bring
question.
it back to rabbits, but totally went down the rabbit hole.
That's a good question.
It's a fantastic question. But I want to start with this wide receiver quarterback combo.
Yeah, you sent me this list this morning.
So I should have sent it to Rico. It's from our guys at 24/7 Sports, right? They do a lot of lists.
Yep. Especially this time of year. List season.
Let me see how fast I can send it. Now, if Rico can pull this off, and I gave him a compliment yesterday, so he's bound to screw this up. There's no way anybody can be that good every day, but no pressure, Rico, because he's gonna have to just use the lists and not the. I don't really want the graphics.
Yeah.
Although if he can only do it with the graphics, it's totally fine. But let's just start with number 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's
number 10?
Where do you think I had the first problem? Number 10 is
it's the Auburn tandem.
Yeah, it is.
This is
Jackson Arnold and Jackson Arnold and Cam Coleman.
Okay. Cam Coleman, legit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I feel like Cam Coleman is pretty legit. How is that? How are those guys top 10 already? Like, what do we know about Jackson Arnold? I know what I hope because I drafted the guy in our quarterback draft.
Yep. Well, and here's the other thing.
Look at T. Farley's post.
Oh, no.
The goggles thing is a great inside joke. T. Farley gets it.
So, to be fair, I kind of struggle with both of the players.
Do you? Because Cam Coleman has yet to really do it.
Yeah, like he had like 500 yards receiving last year.
So, listen, there's worse on the list.
No, I know. I know. Oh, I know.
Like Berrien, the Nussmeier Berrien combo.
You know that's not even the one I'm mad about.
Well, Berrien has like 360 yards max receiving.
Yeah.
Okay, so go to number 9.
Yeah.
Go to number 9.
Number 9 is Aller and Trebor Pena.
Okay, how many career? Look up Pena's stats.
I'm bringing them up right now. We've got Trebor Pena. He's been in college for a very long time. His best year was last year at Syracuse. He had 84 receptions, 940 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
They haven't played together.
Not even a little bit.
But Pena is
more accomplished than a lot of guys on this list.
And at what number?
What do you mean?
What?
9.
9.
Yeah. With Aller, who we know more about than almost everybody else on this list.
So those guys are okay. So go to 8.
So
there's no way Rico can keep up.
I think 8 is where I start to have some issues.
No, 9 should not be behind 8.
No, for sure.
That's number 1.
For sure.
Okay.
100%.
Who's number 8?
Number 8 is John Mateer and Deion Burks at Oklahoma. Now, we already know how I feel about John Mateer.
Hasn't thrown one pass in the conference.
Has not thrown one pass in the conference. Has not thrown one pass with this particular receiver.
And not an accomplished passer up to this point.
Yes. More of a dual threat.
Yeah.
Hurt you with your legs type of guy. Played a like half FCS schedule last year. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. But the receiver is actually more problematic. He has been in college for 4 full years.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you, this is a pretty good season right here. 94 receptions, 1,049 touchdowns, 1,049 yards, 10 touchdowns.
The team.
Wait a second. That's his whole career.
Yeah.
Not a season. That's his whole career. Last year, he caught 245 yard reception or 245 receiving yards for Oklahoma. So maybe that's a little high.
Okay. So how about these guys at number 7?
Okay.
Does it seem low?
Yes, because we know a lot about Klubnik and Antonio Williams.
So it's Cade Klubnik and Antonio Williams at 7.
Who's actually, played football and been successful with Cade Klubnik. He has he had more touchdowns last year than Burks did his entire career.
Right now,
the numbers are almost
number 1 to today. Mm-hmm. I think Antonio Williams is going in the first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm. And Klubnik almost certainly is.
And they're what number?
7.
Okay.
So that's a problem.
Okay.
You know where I really have a problem? I bet you're going to know. I bet
at
you
number
know.
6?
At number 6.
So Klubnik and Antonio Williams are behind this group at 6.
If you had to guess a quarterback wide receiver combo that I would have a problem with, we already got to John Mateer.
AJ, are you listening at all? Who's a quarterback that Ravi is very skeptical on why he gets the benefit of
I'm a wait and see guy. It
is
Lagway.
DJ Lagway.
It is DJ Lagway. And believe it or not, I feel like we need to wait and see even more
On his
on the
right.
receiver that's listed there because he had 260 yards receiving last year.
Eugene Wilson, the third.
That's 6
Yeah.
ahead of
Klubnik
and
Antonio.
Aller.
Yeah.
We've got DJ Lagway. Like, is 24/7 on like the Lagway family payroll? What's happening here?
I don't know, but he could be really good though.
He could be. I understand that. Could be.
Some-
Neither one of these guys have done jack dick as college football players.
I've never even heard that term. You make up compound words like
I do.
like
Like they haven't done anything.
who's Jack Richard?
I meant Jack Ryan. He's the spy guy.
Is that the Office guy?
Yeah, John Krasinski's him now. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jim from
yeah.
The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you cool with that?
No, I'm not cool with that. How are they even on the list? They're ahead of Klubnik and Aller.
Yeah.
How are they even on the list?
Okay, just keep going.
What are we doing?
Look at number 5. Now 5, his cohort is my dude.
I love Ryan Williams.
But
What has Ty Simpson done?
nothing in college.
Yeah, kind of my point. You know how many career passing attempts that Ty Simpson has?
12.
50.
Okay.
He is 29 for 50 over 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's possible we're maybe overdoing it a little bit here. Like, I get Ryan Williams is that dude. I get it.
Yeah.
But, like, would we have put Larry Fitzgerald and Rodney Rutherford at 5 on a best wide receiver quarterback list?
Great pull with Rutherford.
Thank you. Like, Larry Fitzgerald had Rodney Rutherford in, like, midseason Heisman talks, and that dude rots.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
What do you have against lefties?
I have things against people that were not very good at, like,
Wait, was Rutherford lefty?
I don't
12. I almost think
I remember
he
the
was.
number. I don't remember if he was a lefty or not. I do remember thinking, like, dear God, I can't wait till Larry Fitzgerald gets to the NFL and has a real quarterback.
Doesn't have to keep diving for balls.
And then that never happened either. Save the 1 year with Kurt Warner.
How about number 4?
Number 4. Oh, 24/7. What are you doing to me?
How about number 4?
Number 4. Again. I feel like
Who's number 4?
one, Archibald Manning
Arch Manning.
and Ryan Wingo. Don't
Correct.
call me Trey.
No, Wingo. I get the potential.
Again, but that's all. Like, none of these guys have done anything. Arch Manning has like 900 career passing yards.
Well, and I think Wingo.
Over 2
I
years.
think Wingo has less than 30 receptions,
He has 29, 472 yards.
and so they're 4.
What?
I'm going to land the plane here in a second. Go to 3 because this is fun to get you fired up because they don't have any. You couldn't get a Dane Key, Dylan Raiola example, so I know you're fuming right now.
Not just that. Like, I'm okay if they don't make the list, but then what the F are these other people doing on here? You know?
Oh, what the F? And we got a DICK reference. All right.
Just the person.
All right, number 3. Does number 3 make sense to you?
Garrett Nussmeier
And Barry and
and
Brown.
Barry and Brown.
Don't
Garrett,
even look up Barry and Brown. He doesn't have in 3 seasons. He doesn't have a season of more than 400 yards.
That's not true. Last year he did have more than 400 yards.
Okay, what was the year before?
539.
Okay,
And then as a freshman he was at 628. So he's gotten worse every year, which is a good sign. It's a really good sign for potential and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
That's tough.
Because, I mean, we're not really even projecting at this point because he's been in college for 3 years and he's progressively gotten worse every year. So we can't even really give him the benefit of the doubt because we have a 37.
Kentucky had some fellas.
We had a 37 game.
Right?
Yes. He has as many career games at Kentucky as Bo Jackson had in the NFL.
Which, by the way, did you see Louisville got Morrow?
Yeah. That's a good get for them.
God, that's a good get.
So yeah, I'm fine with Nussmeier. He at least makes some sense.
Okay.
And if you're going to give a wide receiver the benefit of the doubt, it should be
So
with a
not
guy-
as much hand wringing over LSU.
not as much, although the receiver
Could
inclusion
you make the case for 3?
yeah,
But not ahead of Klubnik and
not ahead of Klubnik and Aller.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But if Klubnik and Aller were 1 and 2, then I'm here for it.
All right. Well, how about 2? A guy that may not even start.
Well, so Jeremiah Smith is a very good wide receiver.
He's great.
It's one of the only receivers they've gotten correct on this list. The problem is we have no idea who's going to throw him a football at all. So if you're just going to say, hey, we're going to have the best system QB, maybe. Although they are replacing an OC.
Now, we do fall into that trap, though.
I was like, oh, it's Ohio State quarterback. He's going to be fine.
we do fall into that.
That's fine. And like I can give this.
And by we, I do mean us.
Yeah.
I don't just mean the royal we.
But also
we're kind of guilty.
But
of
also the royal. But yeah, I think everybody does a little bit.
Yeah.
But 2 is wild. Like 2 is wild.
Yeah.
Julian's saying we all assume he's going to be the starter. I don't think Ohio State knows if he's going to be the starter.
I do agree with number 1 though.
So like they can be on the list, but they're like a 9-10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with number 1.
Sam Levitt, Jordan. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right.
They got 1 right. That's fine.
So
1 out of 10 ain't bad.
Like at first blush, and this is kind of on the heels of Denny's question to us.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of those? There's a handful where you'd say, because if Barry and Brown could get the benefit of the doubt, can Dane Key?
Yeah, why not?
If Coleman could get the benefit of the doubt, could Dane Key?
If
Eugene Wilson III?
Yeah, Eugene Wilson get the benefit of the doubt because at least the quarterback numbers are like similar there, right?
Yeah.
Like why can't and Dan Key's numbers are better.
I just think it's interesting.
Like it would have been like putting Ja'Cory Barney on this list. Like we all like Ja'Cory Barney, but nobody's projecting him to be a top 10.
Well, I gotta be honest though.
Yeah.
Like, because I'll keep it a buck with you. Remember, I am the guy that said we talk about Barney as though his stats are better than they are.
Yeah.
Like I did say that.
But that's what
so I'm telling on myself.
But that's my exact
because
point.
Everybody that listens to us remembers almost everything that I say, and I don't want to get called on BS.
That's my exact point, though, is that we do that with Ja'Cory Barney, and we get called out for it, rightfully so. But then we're doing the exact same thing with all these guys on this list who have some of which done less than Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah.
Barney had 55 receptions for 447 yards last year.
Hmm.
That is more than several of the guys on this list that I read, is it not?
So you know the beautiful thing about this, though?
And he's not even their number 1 receiver.
If you look at the list, and let's say, let's give 24/7 the benefit of the doubt because we love BC, Brunch, Shafe. Shout out 24/7.
I like Husker 24/7. I don't know about the rest of them.
Okay, but listen.
Yeah.
It just like oh, you are tough this morning. Jeez.
I'm terrified what that fiber might do to me.
Hey, save that energy for OKC. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander talk.
Okay.
Just
With
may
Jeff.
let you have it. So here's the beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the list is on point.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be excited for college football
Sure.
because it's wide the blank open.
Yeah.
If this list is even remotely accurate, there's so much extrapolating that went on.
But we can't do that with Nebraska. Can't extrapolate
Oh,
with Nebraska.
stop.
No, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop.
No, I'm not gonna not be mad.
Florida's the exact same team as Nebraska last year.
No.
Exactly.
Nah.
In terms of their record, their quarterback, like they're the parallels between Florida and Nebraska are uncanny this year.
So-
and DJ Lagway and whatever band of merry men that he's throwing the ball to are just like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We act like Dylan and DJ didn't like switch off rankings of who was the best quarterback prospect in the country. And Dylan's already been through his lumps.
Yeah.
Like we saw him go through it real time. I'm going to take Dana as an offensive coordinator over Florida's situation. And I feel better because what is Ja'Cory Barney, the number 3 receiver?
I won't say that.
2 or 3?
He's
He's not 1, right?
he's not gonna probably play outside a ton, so it's
He'll be like the slot.
yeah.
But he might be the second option
he could
in the
be
slot.
he could be the oversale
and I'm
guy.
not trying
He
to
could
hate
be
on
the
Ja'Cory
arc.
Barney.
Yeah, I get it. I know.
My point is Nebraska.
Because remember, he's still a $185.
Yes, but Nebraska's second
I
or
might be pushing it.
third receiver has better numbers last year
He will be playing in between Hunter and Key
than about
and Bonner.
half of these guys on the list.
Yeah.
And he's already played with the quarterback that he's playing with next year.
So let's go back to Denny's question.
Okay.
And as you know, Denny's not even his real name. But I thought the question was a good one because we're going to do this tomorrow.
Mhm.
because his question was, how many OC quarterback combinations would you take over Dylan and Dana?
It's not a lot.
Here's the thing.
Spoiler
though.
alert. It's not a lot.
How many? What kind of benefit of the doubt should Holgerson get?
Way more than he's getting.
A ton, right?
Way more than he's getting. He's never been bad at this in terms of offensive play calling. He's never been bad at it. He's had some teams that didn't go the way you wanted him to, but he's never been bad at this.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, he should get a Mike Leach level benefit of the doubt in terms of producing offense. Like, that's not an exaggeration. That's the level he's on. He's been doing this for 20 years at the exact same level, which is really high.
It's fascinating.
Like, we give Kenny Dillingham more of a benefit of the doubt, who's done this for 14 minutes. And it's really good, by the way. I like Kenny Dillingham.
Okay, so here's the can I just press pause on
Sure.
KD? I'm not down on him, but I do need to see more.
That's what I mean. We give Kenny Dillingham the benefit of the doubt, who's been doing this. I think he's been alive less time than Dana Holgerson's been doing this.
35,
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Right? And he gets more benefit of the doubt because he's the sexy new name, when Dana Holgerson's just been like, oh, I've just been creating incredible offenses for 3 decades. Like, do we not remember the Oklahoma State offenses? That wasn't like a Mike Gundy creation.
Yeah.
That was a Dana Holgerson creation. So I don't know how we sit here and go, okay, all these other guys get benefit of the doubt, and they're like, we're really counting on like Billy Napier to be like, yeah, we got this nailed in.
I almost shouldn't have given you this list first. But you're so mad at it, you're not going to be swayed. Because when we let's do a top 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Quarterback OC combinations.
Can I use, like in the case of Arizona State, can I use Dillingham?
So
It's
you
like
have
play
to.
caller.
You have to. If the head coach,
Is
like
the play caller.
like Sark, is in the conversation.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, like you have to.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious to see
where
it lands, because we won't talk about it. And I do want to pit it against this list, because I didn't look at this list and I'm like, ooh, I'm mad.
Oh, I should. Let's text. Let's remember.
I got it for you. He's working on it.
Tim.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask about Adam.
We should ask that.
He's gonna
we should save this for Friday for Tim.
He's going to put together the top 20 OCs statistically and use head coach OC combos as a guardrail.
Yeah.
As a guardrail. It's not, well, they're ranked this, so this is how I feel. I almost don't want you to look at the list. But I do want to be playing with the same deck of cards.
I won't look at the list until I make my list. I'll make my list first. Do you want to save this for Friday for Tim? This would be a good conversation with Tim.
I'll take it.
I'll tell him. I'll give him a heads up.
Because I left it. I read it. I sent it to.
I already know who my number 1 is.
I sent it to Micah.
Yeah.
And even he had the same questions I did.
About this list?
He's 16.
Well, yeah, and he's smarter than a lot of people.
And I'm like, because, he hears the table talk about Nebraska and potential, and because he'll ask the question, well, is it just because everybody else has more question marks, or you actually think Nebraska's going to be good? And I'm like, that's fair, but both those things matter.
Yeah, both those things can be true at the same time.
I left that looking at that list thinking, this thing is wide open, but we already knew that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say
I mean, Oregon's top receiver is out for the season.
Where would you put, like, just off the top of your head, where would you put Raiola Key on this list?
8, 7.
Yeah, I'm fair. I'm fine with that.
I would, but it's mostly because of my affinity for Holgerson and Dylan's upside,
which matters a lot. But the upside is all we're talking about with half these
guys. I just
guys.
don't know who I would pick for the receiver combo.
It's probably Dane, maybe Hunter.
I
think Hunter could be a monster.
Well,
and also, you know what's funny about Hunter? Got better numbers at Cal than a lot of the guys that made the list.
He's in the mid 4s, right?
5s, I think. I thought he was 560.
And
somewhere in there.
I'm telling you, he's kind of mean spirited.
Yeah,
like, I'll rock with that
guys.
guy.
You need one of those guys that's got a little SOB in him.
Yeah, I looked at it and I'm like, I'm kind of encouraged.
I mean, I think with some of the people that made this list, that's totally reasonable to have one of those combos on the list.
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll talk about it. Brian Christopherson coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Well, we have an awful lot to pitch kids on here. I think you start with the city of Omaha. I mean, this is the capital of college baseball. We talk about it all the time. And my exposure to Omaha was in as a player, as an assistant coach, as an associate head coach. I've been blessed enough to come here as a participant in the College World Series 3 different times. So my exposure to Omaha was always at its very highest limit in terms of these 2 weeks are incredible. And so I think we start with what the city of Omaha means to this whole baseball process and where it stands in the hierarchy of college baseball in this country. Then the education speaks for itself. I mean, you're getting one of the top private educations in the country. I think we will talk about the experience of our coaching staff and the amount of players we've passed on to professional and Major League Baseball. We've had a ton of success as it relates to teams and winning and going to World Series and Super Regionals. So I really think that this is an opportunity that if you're one of the premier players, it checks all the boxes. And that's what we feel. Now, will we get every recruit? No. Do we have some limitations? It's a little colder here early in the year than a lot of places that have these same check marks, but it's a pretty darn attractive package, and we're going to go out there and try to attract the best players we possibly can.
I'm Ravi, Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. It's gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at West Roads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol, only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to West Roads.
$250 round trip, can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, you got guys walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Christopherson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Christopherson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Central Federal Credit Union, FDB. I'm Ravi Lulla, reminding you, if you're on the roads this morning, keep those eyes focused and straight ahead. You've got one job, that's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. And we've got one job right now, that's to talk to Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7. What's up, BC?
How you doing, fellas?
I'm a little fired up this morning from being on.
Hey, Damon, how you doing?
I'm good. I kind of one of the cool things about my partner here is he's very consistent. So there's like a handful of things that are always gonna where you just put the quarter. I told him today I don't even need to put a quarter in. I could do like a wooden nickel or a fake token if you want to get him gassed up. And one of them is not when Nebraska doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that everybody else does. Like this dude just goes ballistic. So we were just looking at the list from your colleagues about the best quarterback wide receiver tandems and
nationally.
Nationally.
One guy's opinion.
Right. Look at me. Set the record straight,
So
BC. This wasn't some group think. You're not on board with that.
You
I
weren't
get
a
it.
collaborator here?
Well, I'll just I always say that to people because sometimes you're attached, it's your outlet, but everybody's got somebody elsewhere outside the bubble, and that's fine, that has their own take on things, and you never know what their biases are or whatever. But I was listening. I saw that Dylan and Dane weren't in the top 10 of QB receiver combos,
which is okay. That was
okay if you don't include some of the other people.
That wasn't my takeaway. Like, this isn't like me championing Nebraska. Although two things, and I was just having a sidebar conversation with my colleague, and even she was like, "How can Holgorsen not get more of the benefit of the doubt?" But she's also the same person that would probably say the same thing about Lincoln Riley, right? So
that's fair.
That's fair, and it'll be. I'll be curious to see where you put him if he makes it with. On the list, because we're going to do this for Friday and come up with kind of our own. But two things, BC. I left, not that it's the end all be all, but let's say he's 100% spot on. It's guardrails. It just gives me boundaries in which to think, right? My big takeaway was I further believe this college football season is wide open.
Yep.
Like I get the Penn State, Ohio State. I don't even put Oregon in that discussion, although they get lumped in. I'll give you Texas, right? They've got an NFL player on all three levels defensively. Going to be really good skill-wise. They have a budding star potentially at quarterback. I'll even give you Texas, but even they come with questions. Georgia comes with questions. I mean, in Stockton, do you trust, right? So I just left. I'm like, this thing is wide open. If Lagway and Eugene Wilson III make that list, I'll take my chances with D2, like Dylan and Dana, right? I just will.
Yeah.
And
I think
actually 3D. Let's just call him 3D. Dylan, Dana, Dane. Dana Dane. That used to be a rapper. Dana Dane. That's my 80s, 90s baby coming out.
Don't you think, like most years in college football, I've always lived under the premise that there is that top 5 or 6, and then teams like 7 through 35 are kind of in a blender, and there's very little separating them. And to your point, I don't even know that there's that top 6 and then the blender this year. I think it's like maybe there's 1 or 2 you'd say, okay, they're a little bit ahead of the crowd. But I think there's basically 30 to 35 you can mix up just for the reasons you're saying, because if you look around the rosters, there's a lot of potential that excites when you could be talked into like what we're talking about here, like a QB wide receiver combo and what that can look like. But there's not a lot that's proven at places. And to your point, Dylan and Dane Key probably have as much of a chance to maximize as the people on that list. And then when you
I mean, as much as Arch Manning and Ryan Wingo, right?
Well, I mean, and this not to get away from our guy who made the list, but like I think Klatt did a 20, his best quarterbacks. I think he had Manning at the top, right? And I don't know.
I think he was 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but I'm just saying, like, Dylan could be as much in that conversation as Manning, I think, or Lagway for sure. And so that's why this season is all kinds of fascinating. And I think one of the big points you're getting to, and I think we talked about this one of the previous weeks, is I do think people outside of our area are sleeping on Dana Holgorsen, the Dana Holgorsen potential factor, and just a full runway into a season and what that can look like as they've worked through things together. Maybe it's because they view this as like year 2 of him here, because he was here at the end, and they kind of forget that he only came in and was figuring out a new language with only 3 games to go. And so
I think it's because it's Nebraska.
Could be. It's sort of like has happened with the draft and stuff like this. And for fair reason, Nebraska's lost the benefit of the doubt. And there's some people who really want Nebraska, I think, that don't live here to be good again. They're all for it, but they've maybe predicted 2 or 3 years ago during the Frost era or something like, yeah, they're going to bust out this year. They got burned by it. And so now they're cautious to do it. And so when you see some lists like this, they're like, yeah, I'm not going to touch them. Well, they can go do it first. And then next year, if they produce, I'll put them 4th on this list in June.
Yeah. I mean, they can sleep on them at their own peril. That's fine.
Wooden nickel.
Can I just say though,
I never would thought you would be part of the Homer network. This is incredible.
It's not even for me. It's not even a Homer thing so much as the lack of consistent logic applied.
Yeah, I know that.
Like
Across the board with everything that
yes,
drives you crazy.
Like if you can't apply the same logic to Nebraska that you do to Texas and like listen, I'll even give it Texas because like they went to the playoff last year, they were really good. We still don't know anything about Arch Manning really.
Mhm.
Like we really don't, okay? We don't know anything about DJ Lagway really. Like there's a ton of these guys that are making these lists that we don't actually know anything about. And we're making these wild assumptions. And that's fine if you want to make the wild assumptions. But if you're going to do that for everybody else, and I'm kind of in the process of trying to count this up live while we're doing this, but if you're going to make that, and not just with Dylan, right? Because I'm trying to figure out on these.
Aller and Pena?
No, I'm trying to figure out with all these receivers, right? I think both Dane Key and Hunter have better receiving numbers than like 6 guys that made the list as receivers. So I'm trying to figure out, I was like, okay, they have more proven production from the receiver spot.
And Hunter did it at Cal. Now,
without a lot of help.
No, he did have good quarterback, though.
He did.
Because we like this guy in Bloomington.
We like him Mendoza, right? But I mean, like, around them, it was not a lot of help around those 2 guys.
But you know what's funny? Were we enamored with them in the bowl game?
No, we were not.
We weren't.
But you take.
But again, it's a bowl game.
And
Sorry,
listen,
BC.
you want to toss Ja'Cory Barney in there too. He's got better numbers than 3 or 4 of the guys that made this list.
That's what Big Game Hunt was saying.
So you go and you've got Raiola, who's got very similar numbers to like a Lagway and an Arch Manning and some of the guys that made this list. And then you've got the receivers, 2 or 3 of which have better numbers than the majority of the guys on the list. And I'm like, explain to me how it makes sense. That's what I have.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, B, along those lines. Because I think this is an interesting perspective. So one of our guys in the group chat, football guy, Texas guy too. So I love his objectivity because he just doesn't cram Texas down my throat. But he said, is the benefit of the doubt not given to Holgorsen because of the conference? Lots of criticism of the defenses in the Big 12 for a long time. Is it because of the conference affiliation and its degree of difficulty working against Nebraska?
There could be some of that. I honestly think as much as anything, people sort of lose sight of the situation. I really do think there's people who, Nebraska's off the radar enough that they're like, oh, they're kind of doing their own thing over there, trying to figure it out. And you'll be surprised how many people don't know the details of like Holgorsen's situation. I think outside of our area and how he came in November, there's people who
just hopping off a plane. And
yeah. I think there's a lot of people who do stuff like this, and I get it. Cause if you ask me, like, okay, do a top something nationally, top 15 something nationally. And I was chiming in on like what's exactly going on in Austin or Gainesville right now. It would be very drive-by with a lot of details missing and why I was doing that. And I think that's what happens here. Sometimes people forget, like, Holgorsen didn't get here till November. He was basically, calling plays, different language to him. And I think that's forgotten sometimes, like the challenge that they face there. And maybe there's some people who, I don't know, they might think of the conference thing that you're talking about and be like, well, let's see if he can do it in the Big Ten. But the way the leagues are so spread out now with teams everywhere, I don't even think that applies as much anymore. Like there are tougher teams, I think, to go through in the Big Ten, but Dana Holgorsen's a well-traveled coach who's seen a lot of challenges in his career. So I don't know how much I buy it if that's their viewpoint in holding off on Nebraska on a list like this. Mostly though, I think if I were to do a top 10, I would say, and I don't think it's even Homer, I would put Nebraska 6 or 7 on a QB receiver list, just because I think Raiola's upside with Holgorsen. Plus Dane Key's going to have, actually, if he's the receiver you choose, by the way, for Nebraska, he's definitely has the resume where it's already stacked up over 3 years against SEC competition, where he's put up 600, 700 type yards, as opposed to some of the other receivers on this list. He's actually got it in print, like, I did this. So that's why it doesn't make sense to me that he wouldn't be in the top 10.
As Ravi would say very angrily, and I might add, he's never been bad at this.
He's
never been bad at this.
He's always been good at calling plays and getting, like, always. His entire life. He's been good at calling plays and scoring points.
Are you traumatized at the voice?
I mean, it was a little high.
You guys don't have to get me fired up about Holgerson's. Like, I just want to say this. I remember in December when it was one of those days where it felt like crap was hitting the fan and people were probably overreacting, because I think it was the day like Tony left or T Knight left and some players had gone in the portal. And people might remember it was a Monday night. Nebraska put out how Dana Holgerson had signed his contract for a couple years. And I thought that, in my opinion, was the news of the day. It covered everything else that everybody was, going on about that was perceived as negative. That's how big a deal I thought it was that he was returning. It was like, okay, all this other stuff we've talked about all afternoon, these 5 or 6 things, kind of washed away in my mind, because I think the biggest news just came that he's around for a while.
So I just want to give context. So I was counting up while we were talking here. There are 5 receivers on the top 10 list that have equal or worse numbers than at least 2 and sometimes 3 of Nebraska's top wide receivers.
My man, Rico Suave.
And then there are 5 quarterbacks also that have equal or worse numbers.
For those that aren't listening or watching as they're listening, those 5 receivers are
Barian Brown.
Yep.
Ryan Wingo.
Correct.
Eugene Wilson. Deion Burks. Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks are Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, Ty Simpson, DJ Lagway, and Jackson Arnold. I didn't even throw John Mateer in there. I've got other questions about, because he's actually produced at a college level. Like, these guys, I'm not even like stretching this with these guys. These are hard numbers that I'm not wondering about, they didn't play together, they didn't have the same situation, whatever. I'm just going on hard numbers where there are 5 guys on this list who, on each side of the battery, that did not perform as well as Nebraska's guys. And we're sitting here and be like, oh, they're definitely going to be better. And then you're going to tell me that you like their offensive coordinator better than some of these situations? I'm not buying it.
BC,
I'm not buying it.
BC, let me ask you something, because you and I have talked about this. I always ask you about the vibe and being at pressers and what's the room feel like, and Coach Rule and some of the staff's delivery. And I'm like, they've been all business. Let's just play football. Can't wait to get to the games. Troy Dannon, right? I'm over settlement agreements and revenue sharing. I want to get to Kansas City and Cincinnati. How much of this do you think Nebraska just wants to play so much football right now because they actually kind of embrace, we call it disrespect, right? Because that's kind of what we do. They just want to get down to the brass tacks because I think they're going to embrace people. I think they like the fact they think they're flying under the radar.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It gives you a little chip on your shoulder. You get that
feel?
Yeah, and it works sort of in a couple respects. It works like as a team that's flying under the radar, and I understand why they are. By the way, like
clearly they haven't.
But a quarterback. I think when we're talking about lists like this, I think Raiola is flying under the radar for the most part this offseason. Whereas
it's actually nice for once.
Yeah, and
versus people saying it's off-season hype.
Yeah, there's a lot. We have people in our network, I know, and at other teams and stuff, and it hasn't been wrong sometimes. They're like, oh, there's Nebraska. They always win the offseason. And I've seen that chimed in once or twice this offseason, and I've thought to myself, not really this year. I wouldn't say this is an offseason where Nebraska's getting, this or that handed to them in some list or talked about just because of something that happened 20 years ago. And I think, like that can be a beneficial thing. It's like, just quietly go about your work this summer, build up that team bond. Raiola, I know, is putting in work with some of the top guys that he's going to be throwing to. They've put in the extra time. You hope that pays off. You hope they kind of feed off each other. Dane Key would be the guy put on the list, but I'm as excited as anybody about Isaiah Hunter. And I think also that Ja'Cory, Ja'Cory, I think, had a good offseason away because we've talked here at least about Key and Hunter more, that it's allowed Ja'Cory to not deal with what sometimes happens in Nebraska, where he had a good freshman year, but we make it more than it should be. I don't think that's happened with him. And so he can just kind of, so I think on all these different levels, like you can talk about individuals and team wise, it hasn't been over the top with stuff about what's going to happen. I don't think locally or definitely nationally. And you just hope that's useful now.
Yeah. Even the more I'm kind of going through this, and I love the level of, I like the passion, right? But I still know at the end of the day, you got to go and play ball. But there's nothing like being driven in the off season. Whether it's coming off a loss or a bad bowl game, or you're going to be the hunted or whatever. I do know that off-season focus 100% matters in September, October, November. So I don't want to ever be dismissive of what motivates you in the off-season, because I know whatever it is that you believe is probably true. Right?
Yeah.
If you don't think you're going to be very good, you're probably going to be right. If you do think you got a chance to be good, you got a better chance of being right than if you don't. So, I kind of like how this offseason has gone with Nebraska. Even the little things, BC, like, okay, fine, Dylan. Last year you tried to get some guys together. Not everybody showed up.
Mm-hmm.
How about this year you see if you can get everybody to show up? Or, hey, Emmett, you still only had one touchdown last year. How about if you want those 17 to 23 carries, how about you get yourself ready physically? Or, hey, O-line, or, hey, D-line. He didn't call them out, but the gauntlet was thrown down. Hey, guys, we were pretty good last year. Some guys that flew under the radar in terms of their production. We'll see if we can get there this year.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. As a player, I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing.
If you go through the position groups, everybody on the roster, I think, has a real driving point too. Like you mentioned, Emmett. Emmett, I think, knows that there's that talk out there. Like, okay, he's a good back. Can he be a great back? Can you be a back that, as Rule talked about all of last year, takes those 10 or 15-yard plays and makes that last guy miss, and it's a 55-yard house call? You can go to the offensive line, and I think we know a lot of how that's going to line up. But there's 3 or 4 veterans and 2 spaces sort of open coming out of spring. I guess you'd say left guard, right tackle. We might have some idea how that's going to fill in. But there's guys that really have to have their elbows out to compete to make sure they're in that rotation. You go to the defensive line, you're going to find a bunch of guys who have heard all offseason about, okay, Ty's gone, Nash is gone, Jamari's gone. What do you do with that? How are you going to fill their shoes? Can you be the same? So I think you can go through the roster, and we're talking about the national stuff and how Nebraska is perceived and all that. But even if you pinpoint on this team, at each spot, you're going to find, I think, something. There's a carrot in front of a guy that can be very useful this offseason. That's maybe more obvious in some spots than it is in previous off seasons to me.
We're talking with Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. BC, I wanted to switch gears here, talking about winning the offseason. Apparently, that's what we do here. I always
don't be that dude.
No, I always argue it's better than the alternative. That's all I'm going to say. But speaking of winning the offseason, Nebraska got a commit yesterday in the 2026 class, Rex Waterman, offensive tackle. I guess, what do we know about Rex? Was this kind of in the works for a while, as far as you're aware, or how did this come to be?
I don't know as much about Rex as some of the other guys, honestly, because I haven't written about him as much as others in our network. But I knew coming out of the weekend, because there was sort of this, I guess, angst about okay, when are guys going to start raising their hand in this class? And so I think it was a big deal, because I had heard Sunday, okay, Rex is probably in. And I just thought if they need it to pop, have someone put their hand up like he did, get the ball rolling. And I really think from this weekend, there's a foundation and that is set, that is legit, that you can stand on. There's a few guys I think that can commit that visited as official visitors. And then just as exciting to me, I've kind of been locked in, honestly, on doing a lot of the 27, 28 guys that were in town for the event. And it's unreal, like the talent that was here. Like, so we're talking like all like top 50, top 75 guys. The way this worked together with the different things and how they connected to get guys who normally wouldn't have seen Nebraska maybe at this point in their careers and actually get them here and be like, okay, their facilities are, tops in the country. I had 3 top 65 DBs that I was talking to that are probably going to be playing in the NFL one day. And they're saying that nobody can match Nebraska with like the facilities and this stuff. It's just like people don't understand until they get here. And so that's a big deal that you planted that seed in their mind. And we say this every offseason too. Like, what happens if Nebraska gets 9-10 wins or more? Like, what does that do to recruiting? Well, I think you could say that idea is like on steroids to me right now with the 27 guys.
When you put it together with the culture that they're building, like that's the key. These guys are talking about things that you can't even. I get the facilities thing. But Jess asked me this question last night on Husker Sports 9. It was a good, like the way she framed it, it was with regards to Trey Taylor and the 7-on-7 deal. And I said, the thing that we're kind of missing with 7-on-7 in general is not only do you not get folks to give up some of their concessions and have it be a camp and combo it with the whole recruiting weekend, like, and run it the way Nebraska did. You don't get those kinds of people on your campus as the host site across the country that easily. And so to hear, I'm like, if the facilities, they look fantastic. That's great. Lincoln may be a different city than they thought. That's great. But the cool thing is when you get the vibe with the coaches, like they act like a top 15 program when they're courting you. It's like, hey, it's not only what we can do for you, like what you guys can do for us. And the players are kind of vibing with that. And they're just pups, right? I don't know. I think it's already a success, BC, based on exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we understand.
Yeah, I had probably 3 guys say unsolicited, they work hard there. Like he was talking about like the staff and everything. He's like, it stuck out to them, like the level of work that they put into it. And also, the family feel. Real quick on the facilities, I know around here it's so cliche because like every guy, like, yeah, that's what they're supposed to say. The facilities are awesome. So it's become like something you just sort of like, wave your hand at, like big deal. But I will say, like, we had a few of our national guys like Tom Loy and Andrew Ivins in for the event. And if you've never been here and actually seen it, like them and some of these kids, it does just knock them over. Like, man, this is something else. But you're right. You combine that with like, okay, this is a place where they're putting in the work, and I expect that they're going to be a powerhouse. That's what some of the guys were telling me, like Cameron Wilson, who obviously Nebraska would like to get. That was his quote to me. He's like, Nebraska is going to be a powerhouse. That's what he thought leaving there. And so I think they kind of put that in people's mind. Like, this isn't a, like, we're trying to get there type of program vibe. It's we are going to act like we are there. We're going to present ourselves just like Ohio State or just like those other schools. And I think guys recognize that.
That's our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. BC, appreciate the time as always. Appreciate you dealing with my rantings. And
let me ask you one more.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more question, B. With regards to Hudson and the offer that Hoiberg extends, and we know he's a tandem guy or a tandem, like bikes, dual sport guy. How interesting is it when you watch him? And I probably said it like a football junkie, and people are like, "What an idiot." My thing with Ahmad and guys like that is when you watch him move, and then you look at his rating, you're probably like, and I think he even alluded to it, where some people don't think he's this, or some people don't think he's that, or he's not explosive enough or fast enough. And I was telling Ravi, when you watch him up close, you see every bit of probably what he's capable of. But to the naked eye may not be like, ooh, showstopper, which sounds weird to say about a guy that's that highly sought after. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying when you watch him move in space and kind of?
Yeah, like he's an impressive looking kid, but I know what you're saying. Once they actually started playing ball, it was like a whole different thing. It was like, yeah, I mean, it was, there's a bunch of 4-star DBs trying to cover him.
Yeah.
And it was like 50-50 balls were like 95-5 balls to him, like that's where it separated. And I mean, that's invaluable to have the quarterback commit. That's worth 500 social media posts. Like, we make such a big deal about Trey Taylor on there, and I respect that. But throwing the ball to Ahmad Hudson down there and showing his trust, like, hey, go get it, big fella. Let's do this in this stadium a couple years from now. Huge.
I like the fact that when you actually get to see guys in front of you, because sometimes we do thumb our nose up a little bit at 7-on-7, but that's a really good example of seeing somebody in front of you that's probably different than if you're just watching him any other time, right? I think that's where the proximity of being close to him actually adds value with having that guy on campus participating.
Yeah, it was legitimate, like, where you could see, like, this guy should definitely be a top 10, 15 player in the country. Like, I mean, it was so obvious through that. And, Trey did a nice job. It wasn't just because he's forcing it because, hey, this is the guy I'm trying to recruit. It was just like, this guy's going to catch everything I put up there. And I thought Trey looked really good, too. I mean, I thought he did really well with what he was being asked. One thing, I mean, Ahmad Hudson didn't know he was going to play in that and had never done the 7-on-7 events till like an hour and a half before that started. And Trey Taylor was like 3 to 4 hours before when he found out he had a team to do it. I know they were with the Raw squad out of Miami that's sort of known and they're loaded up. But still, I mean, that's pretty impressive to just like go out there and work through it and look like you've been with that team for like a year or two when you've been with them for 2 hours.
I was afraid to say this comp because I don't want people, sometimes we can't understand or digest, but it reminded me similarly. Do you remember Micah Parsons coming out late?
Oh, yeah.
During Friday Night Lights after being asleep for a couple of hours and
yeah,
kind of jogs to get loose and then just electrifies that place on a humbug. And now that you know his personality and you listen to his press conferences and you watch him in Dallas, you're like, he's exactly that guy. He was asleep an hour before they started.
Yeah, that checks out.
He by the way the event and was still pretty doggone good. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Like, oh, okay, I'll come out here and do this.
I know you guys got to get to break, but
we don't have any things.
There's two events I had always, like, when we talked about Friday Night Lights or those Friday night June recruiting events. Micah Parsons and the first time Dylan showed up at age 15 and he just threw a rope. Those two stuck out. I would put, if it works out recruiting wise with some of these guys like an Ahmad Hudson, it goes to the top of the list. What they were able to do in the stadium with some fans there, that would top the other things to me, as far as Friday night June events. That's how significant it can be. We'll see. And that's why it's such a big deal. Like, they have the groundwork set. These guys are really interested in Nebraska right now. Obviously, the Huskers want a good season for the reasons we all understand right in front of us. But beyond that, if you put together 2-3 more wins this year with those guys who just visited, that's a nice cocktail.
That's our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 BC. Appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Got it.
Are we just going straight to Kevin here?
Yeah, that's what I just told Shane. Maybe he can't read sign language, but.
Oh, we can take a quick break.
All right, we'll take a quick
break.
Hey, I like that. Be assertive. You're the boss.
Whatever.
Don't do what I say.
Whatever Shane wants to do.
You are hammer. I am nail.
We'll just
I don't
do
know
whatever
about
Shane wants
that.
to do. It's fine.
All right, be back in 60. That's all
talk
you
to
usually
Kevin
need.
Suits coming up next.
Well, we have an awful lot to pitch kids on here. I think you start with the city of Omaha. I mean, this is the capital of college baseball. We talk about it all the time. And my exposure to Omaha was as a player, as an assistant coach, as an associate head coach. I've been blessed enough to come here as a participant in the College World Series 3 different times. So my exposure to Omaha was always at its very highest limit in terms of these 2 weeks are incredible. And so I think we start with what the city of Omaha means to this whole baseball process and where it stands in the hierarchy of college baseball in this country. Then the education speaks for itself. I mean, you're getting one of the top private educations in the country. I think we will talk about the experience of our coaching staff and the amount of players we've passed on to professional and Major League Baseball. We've had a ton of success as it relates to teams and winning and going to World Series and Super Regionals. So I really think that this is an opportunity that if you're one of the premier players, it checks all the boxes. And that's what we feel. Now, will we get every recruit? No. Do we have some limitations? It's a little colder here early in the year than a lot of places that have these same check marks, but it's a pretty darn attractive package, and we're going to go out there and try to attract the best players we possibly can.
I'm Ravi, Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. Gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at West Roads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol. Only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to West Roads.
$2.50 round trip, can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by our friend Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, what's going on, bud?
Ravi, DB, good morning. Happy Wednesday, and it's going to be a hot one today.
So, okay, I said this yesterday, and listen, it's normally me. I screwed it up. Didn't it seem like it got hot quicker than the forecast originally said? I feel like we were like 2 days early on the heat strokes.
Now, don't be getting a news guy to shame the weather guys, all right? Because we're right there when they get the phone calls. Yeah, I think we're just a little bit, we're a little more sensitive to this quick burst of heat because the summer's been so mild, you know? The windows have been open, the house has been open, beautiful.
I missed the 91 degree forecast yesterday, Suits.
Well, back-to-back day of 90s.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, it's coming quick.
So, Kevin, do people actually call the news station mad about the weather forecast being wrong? Did I catch that? Is that what you said?
All the time.
Is that a real thing that happens?
Look, he's floored that you'd even ask the questions.
It never occurred to me that, because there's not in a million years, when they're like, oh, it's going to snow 6 inches, or it's a dusting. It never occurred to me, I'm calling. So I don't know who your weather person is. I'm calling Bill Ranby and being like, Bill, I saw the sleeves rolled up halfway up your arms. What's the deal, bro?
Ravi, since you pulled back the sheets, we're going to take the bed. We're going to strip the.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm fascinated. I can't believe people have hot takes about weather.
Not only do they have hot takes, I think the most common phone call we get at the news station is, what is the weather going to be? Which in 2025 is the most mind-blowing phone call you could ever imagine.
Because there's a million different ways to get that information.
The number 2 most common phone call, I would say, off the top of my head, would be, when do the Huskers play and what TV station are they on? I
knew that was one. We get those, and Shane's
we get some of those.
Shane is like, what am I, a TV guy?
During the football season, we often, and whether it's me or Andy Kendi or any other the local TV guy, sports guys, we always show the graphic during our sportscast. We're wasting 15 seconds, but we need to tell everybody what time they play and what TV station they're on.
That's
it's
incredible.
amazing.
God, if only there was
and a
this
lot of
system of information that existed that was on, at your fingertips in real time and on demand. If only something like that existed where you could get that information.
Wow, somebody should look into that. They could probably make a few pennies on it.
I think they might.
Those are the top two. Then the criticisms come, right? The shaming the weather guys because they were wrong on the rain that everybody was expecting or not expecting, and then the shaming of the sports guys for not including every high school soccer game in the area. I think one of my fondest memories of something in that vein
This is incredible.
was a coworker of mine who was maybe 23, 24 years old at the time. He showed highlights of one of the local basketball games here in Lincoln. One of the teams lost by like 25 points. I'm gonna try to leave the team name out of this. But somebody called immediately after our sportscast on a Friday night, which included probably 10 to 15 high school basketball games from across the area. And the caller he accused my colleague of having a child on the winning team. And that's why he showed bias. My guy was 23, 24 years old. He did not have a child.
Hey, safe to say, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Yeah. I think that caller had a few cocktails prior to making the phone call.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I can't. Man, I can definitely understand hey, you didn't talk about the thing we want you to talk about, or you're talking about a thing we don't want you to talk about. We get that sometimes as well. I'm honestly blown away by the weather complainers. Like I'm stunned.
Just because it's so hard to predict?
Yeah, like also it would never just in a million years occur to me to be like, oh, you lied to us. It's like, no, it's like a probabilities thing, right? Like it's a best guesstimate. Like you're reading the models and the maps and you're like, hey, these are the chances. But
with his sarcastic tone all the time, Kevin, could you just imagine Ravi being like your problem resolution
forward
guy?
Those calls to me? I'll take them.
Ravi is going to start calling the local news stations now.
I am.
If this affects his weekend plans, you're going to
I'll be like,
Kevin,
I was trying to take the boat out this weekend, and I didn't get any wind. What are we doing?
Oh, that's it. And it's not only the complaint. I mean, we're all allowed to complain, right? And be frustrated. But to pick up the phone and make the call, that's the thing that just
exactly.
Sometimes I'm in a mood that I know a call is coming into our newsroom, like and where my office is at, I can pick up any line in our building. And there have been on a few occasions, no one wants to deal with it in the newsroom, but I'll say, let me have it. So I'll pick up as like a news guy. And I'll have a nice back and forth. I sometimes enjoy it. I just have to be in the right mental state.
I mean, maybe it's because I'm a millennial, but like, I don't want to call anybody. Like, I'm not trying to pick up the phone. Like, if I can't make a reservation for a restaurant online, I'm going to a different restaurant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to call a soul, Kevin. And these people they're like, this is a thing that needs to be communicated via telephone. Like, just leave a snarky comment on Facebook like everybody else. Like, what are we doing?
That's why we have the text line and the YouTube chat, right?
Wow.
Unbelievable. Like, I'm floored.
Kevin, let me ask you something. With the CWS coming up and it's going to be a circus, do you find yourself, are you a storylines guy or do you want are you kind of the best team in the field guy? Like, how do you look at college baseball?
Well, if you just wanted the best teams in the field, it's going to get stale over the course of time. Yeah, the baseball is going to be played at an elite level, but we need a Murray State, right? There is so much good in the fact that a team from the Missouri Valley, and I'm sure everybody's seen the pictures of their home field where they seat 800 people. The fact that team is playing in Omaha is absolutely ridiculous, and it's for the impartial baseball fan that's going to go to Charles Schwab Field, they're going to want a team to pull for. And Murray State is an easy team to root for. So as much as you may want the elite baseball played at the CWS, having a team like Murray State is just tremendous to have in the field. And I want to make it very clear, they are capable of playing elite baseball because look at the offensive numbers from that team. That they can rake, and they just don't rake in their conference. They can play with anybody.
And I get the whole bandbox thing, but they showed in the regionals and the supers that they can swing it regardless of park. I wonder how many interviews Dom Decker will have to do. He's going to quadruple. He's going to. I don't know. Like I kind of feel bad for guys like that have done it a certain way all year that now get on this stage and people are going to want to know the backstories to the stories. But would you put is Murray State greater than Stony Brook and Kent State? And those are the two off the top that come to my head in the last 20 years. Maybe Fresno State and
Fresno's a good one.
Fresno's that was Georgia.
Fresno is more notable than Murray State. I'm glad you brought up Stony Brook. I think that's the most comparable thing I can think of at the College World Series in years past that we're seeing right now. I remember Matt Schick just used a tremendous line when he was working at KETV about Stony Brook. He said something to the effect of, you would think that is a neighborhood in suburban Omaha, and turns out it's a baseball program.
No, it literally is a neighborhood in suburban Omaha. It's just south of Millard South. Stony Brook is a neighborhood.
That's absolutely incredible. So, that was very improbable what Stony Brook did, and I think what Murray State has done right now is pretty remarkable. But as much as we want to shine on, the Cinderella, let's not look past the fact that in the opening round, we get Arkansas versus LSU.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be, the game to watch. It's Saturday night. So that's not just a night event. That's going to be an all-day fiasco with those two fan bases coming into Omaha. And if you look at the field in general, man, Dave Van Horn's got a golden opportunity to get his first national championship. And I think that this might be Arkansas's year to win.
It's incredible on Saturday that we're going to already see who has the depth to come through the losers bracket between those two teams. It's going to happen immediately. One of them's going to have to do it.
Yeah, so if you're on the other side of the bracket, the Saturday bracket, you really don't want to lose that first game, because if you do, you're going to have to face either LSU or Arkansas. And, let's be honest, of the entire field, those are probably the two best teams that are going to be here.
I got to just figure out how to get one of those Murray State hats that they were wearing on Monday. Those with the horseshoe with the horse in the middle.
They'll be for sale.
Love them. I need one of those.
I bet you their hat merch will be the number one seller.
I know. I got to get down there early because I feel like it might sell
because it's unique. It's different. A lot of people have Arkansas and LSU gear. Their gear, I bet, is going to be a hot commodity.
It's cool looking too.
Okay, so with the setup, how are you gonna stretch it out with the coverage? How the tournament's going to break down with the 9 days off?
Well, you just got to keep on going, and that's what's going to be really exciting about this. There might be a little bit less opportunity to tell some of those peripheral stories because we're going to be covering games day after day after day.
Yeah.
It's going to be just a week and a half blitz. And I've always said that CWS Media Day, which is tomorrow, is one of my favorite days on the sports calendar. And partly because you just get to talk to the coaches. And some of the interviews that are done at the College World Series are very playful. They're very fun-loving. Because think about this. The players, they dream of making it to Omaha, and they're on that field for the first time. So that's a pretty big deal for those guys, and they're all in a good mood. And I remember talking to Dansby Swanson when he was at Vanderbilt, and Kumar Rocker. And, that's the Florida head coach, who's under a little bit of, he's getting a little bit of pushback.
Unapologetic, too. Wow.
I know, but I go off of our interactions on CWS media days, and sometimes you paint your, you make your perception of a guy or a team based on how they interact that day. And even Dave Van Horn, when Rob Childress was at Texas A&M, I remember we talked for about 10 minutes about pheasant hunting in rural Nebraska, and he's getting ready for the College World Series, but he wanted to talk about hunting, and it was just tremendous. So I really look forward to media day tomorrow and then the tournament as a whole.
I can't wait for somebody to ask Coach Schnall a question from Coastal about something that Cinderella-ish and watch him lose his mind because he's not having it. So
I don't know if you know this. They're not a Cinderella.
I hope people treat that program like they should be here because the first question he gets is though they should, and I'll be curious to get his response.
I mean, they're a national seed. Come on. There's no Cinderella when you got a number by your name.
Right. A good point.
I'd probably ask, like, hey, so you know the team you think is the best here, Arkansas, right? When was their last national title in baseball? When was ours? Okay, that's all. That's what I would say.
There are some fan. Do you tread any different than you normally would, given the kind of the brevity and intensity of college baseball coaches? I think it's kind of different than almost any other sport.
Yeah, you got to watch out, right? You never know. That world turns so quick. College baseball is a different beast, so bridges cannot be burned. And those guys, they remember. They know what's up. So, absolutely.
That's our guy, Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, appreciate the time. Enjoy the upcoming week. I'm sure you'll stay busy.
Thanks, Kev. Here's to hoping you don't get a ton of phone calls.
If you need anybody to field some weather calls, you just let me know. I got you.
You guys are good. I'm going to start forwarding everything to you guys. You got my back on it.
We'll talk to you later.
See you, boys.
That's Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News in Lincoln. We'll take a quick break right here and come back. More Hurrdat Sports Live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
I mean, I want everyone that comes, obviously, to learn, but I want them to discover the joy and fun of playing this game, you know, catching, running, competing. I think sometimes, you know, especially when we talk about youth sports, they can get overly competitive. Part of this, to me, is about teaching people where they are and bringing them along and growing the game, you know, one person at a time. And I also want them to be out here playing on this field. You know, I mean, we're also growing the fan base. We're growing tomorrow's season ticket holder. We're growing tomorrow's, you know, Husker fans. So I know Harper Murray, she's going to come out and talk to the student athletes as well. So I think it's just a really cool day.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
He wants to do something different is the only.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla reminding you, you know, we're talking a lot of college
I'm
baseball.
just yelling through the open.
It's fine.
This is Austin's fault. Everything is his fault. He's like, what'd I do? You were talking to me.
You know, it's not his fault. It's the traffic around the stadium. You know we can fix it, though. Our guys over at Metro Transit. Make sure you check out ometro.com. They've got options for you. Whether you want to drive down there yourself, figure out a better way to park and get a ride to the stadium, or you don't want to drive down there at all, get over to West Roads, take the Orbit bus all the way down to the ballpark. They've got you covered either way. ometro.com to plan your trip. DB.
Big pound of flesh guy. You're going to call and give me a piece of your mind.
Who, me?
Yeah. Oh, you're not picking up the phone?
For who?
Out of breath Brian wants to know how you don't like talking on the phone, but we do our job. You like to listen. You like taking our calls, but
very different. Oh no, I don't like taking calls. That's a you thing.
You
love taking calls.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I may be in the minority. A lot of people don't like taking calls.
There's too much uncontrollable when you're taking a call, because sometimes they're really, really good. And to our listeners' credit, most of our callers are really good. We kind of have some regulars and guys that we know.
But I also think they know the show too.
Yes, that helps a ton. But doing other shows that I've done, I'm like, why are we even taking calls?
Shang, we got coached up on that. Was that about 10 years ago?
I would say it was something like that.
Make sure the first call you take is a good call, because the rest of the calls will have a tendency to be like that. If the first call is off the rails, then the rest of the calls will have, or something to that effect.
I had gotten a full pamphlet on it. I remember.
But
that.
again, you have no control.
Wait. Time out.
Yeah. You mean a 30 or a full?
This is 30.
Okay, 30.
You got a what on that? A full what?
Pamphlet.
Flit. Pamphlet. There's a PH in there, like fat.
Pamphlet.
Is that like Pam?
He said pamphlet.
Pam?
I thought that. It's not like pen and pen.
Is it like pen?
No.
Flit.
Jen, pen, pen.
Is that like flick?
Pamphlet.
Or
I got a whole
flint?
pamphlet on that.
I think you're saying the P differently. I don't think you're saying the vowel differently.
Who?
You.
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Pamphlet?
No. Nobody says pamphlet. That's not a real thing. You know, sometimes
just because you can't hear the difference between and I.
I mean, Austin can't. Matt can't.
Austin
Jacob
heard it.
can't.
Well, today I've been sharp. Oh yeah, Austin's he's
sharp like a pen or a pin. I'm sorry, that was unnecessary.
I almost went to the hygiene cleaning product, but I'm not going to do it.
I like our comments. I like our YouTube chat, because it's a much more controlled environment. I can control
and it's kind of nutty too.
It is, but I can decide what we talk about and not. Once they're on the phone, then you have to have an awkward hang up if you're going to get rid of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I much prefer again.
Are you a legend anywhere than in your own mind?
Absolutely not. But
no, Terry, I'm not.
No, there's a much more controlled environment. It's the same thing with when I was talking about Kevin and like making reservations or anything like that.
So the funny thing about that,
you're the same way.
I'm the exact same way.
If I can't find what I need to about your business
online reservation thing is a must.
Like, you know how good your food has to be for me to like, I will go so far if you don't have an online reservation system, or if I can't get it to work, like, and I like the restaurant a lot, I'll try and get someone's cell phone number that works there. There's a place that I like.
So you're probably
and I'll text them. I'm still not calling them. I will text them.
So one of the places that I like, I have one of our coaches moonlights, and so if it doesn't go the way that I want to, like and sometimes he'll say yes to me, sometimes he won't. It just depends on his mood.
That helps you out.
I mean, our coaching staff, I don't know how we get along so well, because they're all very
mean-spirited.
Kinda.
I mean, you got the Youngstown, Ohio
I
guy
would
at the
like
top.
Coach Secor is like the only one that's cool.
Oh, he's super nice.
All the time.
Super nice. That's a good dude.
Everybody else is kind of a crapshoot.
He's got a cute dog too. I like his dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's too big.
No.
That thing is like 6 foot on its hind legs.
Yeah, that's a great dog.
More than that, I bet.
Yeah, he's a schnauzer, right? He's a giant schnauzer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
And
dog. I love giant schnauzers.
He's the only coach that I would say is like cool all the time.
Yeah. No, I like him.
Everybody else got their issues.
Well, you know, pot, kettle.
No, I'm cool.
No?
Always.
I'm just saying.
That's the players, man. They
I
know.
will text somebody to make a reservation.
Well, my staff may think I'm a little surly
before I go and call somebody.
The reservations online tab is a must.
Oh man, if I can't figure out what I need to know about your business online, I'm not calling.
And a lot of those businesses aren't answering anyway.
Yeah. Well, especially Sometimes, especially restaurants, sometimes you want to call and they're not open.
Yeah, you get the prompt. Yeah.
It's not like they're like being staffed 24/7.
I don't think that's high maintenance at all. I'm going to wish you the best with this interview.
Oh, I think it's going to go great. That's DB. I'm
Can't
Ravi.
wait.
Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
I mean, I want everyone that comes, obviously, to learn, but I want them to discover the joy and fun of playing this game, catching, running, competing. I think sometimes, especially when we talk about youth sports, they can get overly competitive. Part of this to me is about teaching people where they are and bringing them along and growing the game, one person at a time. And I also want them to be out here playing on this field. We're also growing the fan base. We're growing tomorrow's season ticket holder. We're growing tomorrow's, Husker fan. So I know Harper Murray, she's going to come out and talk to the student athletes as well. So I think it's just a really cool day.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Hurrdat Sports is pleased to bring you the NEB Prep 77th State Championship this year, hosted by Bellevue West, June 16th and 17th of 2025. June 16th, the first day, will be pool play. 18 teams from across the state battling it out for this trophy. On June 17th will be the championship game at 3 p.m. Bracket play will begin at 10 a.m. on June 17th. We'll see you there.
You had a lot of accolades come your way. You were the National High School linebacker, then you also have this award that you're up for as well. How do you stay motivated despite all the success that you've had?
Yeah, I'm not really motivated by any awards or anything. Just getting better every single day is what I'm motivated by, and being myself that I was yesterday.
And then, of course, coming back here for Westside and representing Omaha. What does it mean for you to be an athlete from Omaha, now moving on to the next level?
Yeah, I would say a lot of college dudes don't really give you the benefit of the doubt being from Nebraska, because if you're from like Texas or Florida, they'll be like, oh, he's probably a dude. But I'm here to put Nebraska on the map and, just make Nebraska a big name.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Jessica Coody of the Husker Sports Radio Network. Jess, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. So we got to get this out of the way from the jump here. DB's been telling me for weeks that you have a beef with me about SGA. So I want to clear the air. What did I say about SGA that offended you?
Well, you know how DB kind of has a tendency to blow things a little out of proportion.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't even remember exactly what the take was, but I just felt like you were not giving SGA enough credit in his scoring.
So I want to be clear. I was pro SGA for MVP because I'm not real huge on Jokic. So I was in your corner there. I think the only thing I said is his game's a little like funky, so it's not always the most aesthetically pleasing thing to watch. But he is very good. I would never say he's not good.
Okay, all right. I'll forgive you, Ravi.
I appreciate that.
Got a big one tonight.
I am, like, full disclosure, I am rooting for the Pacers here.
Whoa, Ravi, why do you keep
I'm
digging a
letting you know.
grave?
I'm done.
Come on, jeez.
I really like Tyrese Halliburton. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I just,
You left her speechless.
It's nothing personal. And I do think Oklahoma City's going to win. I also really like Chet Holmgren. Out of all of your roster, Chet Holmgren is my favorite one. So I have got a little love on both sides, but I'm kind of Tyrese Halliburton guy.
All right, I will call back in when the Thunder win and talk trash to you.
That's right. You can talk your trash. That's fine. I understand that. That's part of the victors to the victors go to the spoils thing, right?
Well, and Emmett Johnson is a big Timberwolves fan. And so start of the playoffs, Minnesota. So, I had to let him have it a little bit. So I'll just, on the way to the NBA title, just keep, rubbing it in along the way. But I really do. I think this is the year for the Thunder. It just, they play better defense. They've got so many. The only thing is they're so young and it's new. And so I think you're kind of seeing them work through some growing pains throughout this NBA playoffs run. But I like the chances to win the title.
Okay, so how important is tonight's game? Obviously, you want to win, quicker and get the series over faster. But is there something that you're focused on as a fan that you're like, what does the Thunder need to do today to make sure that game one doesn't happen again?
Well, I don't know if necessarily you go in tonight, we got to win tonight. I just think if you split one of these two in Indy before you go back to OKC, where you want to talk about a home court advantage. So I think more so instead of we got to win these two. Obviously that's ideal, but I don't know if it's, that logical to go into it thinking, okay, we're going to win two here and then go back home. So I think for me, it's more so just split one of these two. But I think, when you lose, you go back to game one and you lose the lead, there was 5 or 6 possessions that they didn't get SGA the ball. He didn't touch the ball. He was not getting the shots. And so I think in that situation, when the team's making a run, Indiana has proved that they're not going to go away. So, when a team's making a run, go to your guy to shut it down and stop the momentum. And I think that was something that they'll learn from. And I think they fixed it obviously for game 2. But I just, in those kinds of moments, because teams are going to make runs, I think that was one of the issues is my dad and I were sitting there watching. I'm like, when's the last time SGA touched the ball on the offensive end? So I think, they learn quickly, but I'm more so going into it. Hey, let's just split here and then take it back home.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess, let's move to Nebraska a little bit here. So obviously, DB's been heading down early out of the show to Lincoln the last couple of days. You guys are going through this process of trying to find a new voice of Nebraska football as over the last couple of weeks here. Obviously it's been going on for a long time, but we're kind of in the last few weeks, it seems, of the process. As you go through this, do you kind of get a sense, and you don't have to give me specifics about people or anything like that, just generally the process, have you gotten a sense of how important this role is, not just for what you guys do, which obviously the chemistry and everything is really important, but just to what that figure and person means kind of to the entire state, and how has that sort of impacted your process as you go through this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big role and those are big shoes to fill, and so I don't think anybody is shying away from that fact as we're having these kinds of conversations. And what I've appreciated is, we've talked to a lot of people from across the country. There's a lot of interest in this job. I mean, this is a dream job for a broadcaster, being the voice of Nebraska. And so there's a lot of interest in it. But what I've really appreciated is, pretty much unsolicited, almost every single person that we talked to brought up Greg and how much they respected Greg, and they understand, the task of stepping into that role. And just, it's not going to be an easy thing for whoever it is, because Greg was here for 17 years and he was the voice of the Huskers, and he was so loved. And so I think people are aware of the situation, but they've been so kind and thoughtful about, just sentiments on Greg, and just, a number of them, a couple of them said, hey, I wish this wasn't the case, that we're having these conversations right now, because we would hope that it was not in this kind of situation. But so I think people understand that what the situation is, and certainly there's a lot of great respect for what Greg did. But yeah, I mean, and it's not just calling football games. You're on a lot of different programming, and you're emceeing events, and it's this is that's another kind of conversation that it has been had. Is this is when you come to Nebraska, it's different. You can think but you don't know till you get here. I mean, I've said that a number of times since coming from Oklahoma, that I felt like I had a good perception of what it is like here, but you just don't know till you're here. And so I think that's another part of it too, is just making sure that people are aware of just how big this role is, and making sure that we get somebody that can absolutely fulfill all of those needs, and can represent and be that extension of the athletics department, but be that kind of voice of the Huskers that I think the state is looking for.
Jess, there's obviously the pressure of having to be the one that replaces Greg, but there's probably pressure on you and the part of the selection committee and whoever's a part of this process as well, that it's the voice of a generation of Husker fans, because Greg was my generation growing up. Like he was mine that when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and even the beginning of my adult life, that's who I listened to on Husker game days. I'm sure Ravi remembers who was
Mine
on
was
him.
Kent Pavelka.
And so Kent Pavelka, and I remember who my parents would talk about, for them. Is there that level of pressure on you that it's not necessarily just we want to find the big booming voice or that right voice or tenor, but it's also the personality and it's everything else that kind of goes into it, kind of like what you were just saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it, right? And you've got to check a lot of boxes. And so, that's kind of what we've gone into it as, is knowing that there's more than just one hat that you got to wear, and just the magnitude of the role. And so, I mean, it's, I don't know if I'd call it pressure, because, I mean, again, we've had a lot of great people and from across the country interested in this job that, I think we've got some good candidates so that have put their name in the hat. So I'm excited to see how the process unfolds. And I'm, it's been, I'll be honest, it's been hard. I'm going to get emotional again, but it's kind of the reality. We made it through a football season last year with Greg. So this is the first football season that we actually don't have him. So it's just kind of been a little bit, I think, for all of us, I think we all have kind of, as we go through this, it's just kind of hit you a little bit, the realization that it is going to be different. And so, yeah, there's a lot of layers to it, a lot of emotions. It's been emotional for me. I think it's been emotional for a number of people that have been involved in the process. But, I hope that, and I think we will, get the right guy in here that Husker Nation can fall in love with, just like they have Greg.
Jess, a lot going on this weekend. Obviously, you guys have this interview process you guys have been doing this week as well, but a lot going on this weekend, whether it was the 7-on-7, whether it was the huddle event that was going on as well, but also something I know is flying under the radar a little bit, but we saw some clips out on social media, was the girls flag football camp as well. What did you get to experience through that as you kind of watched that play out?
Yeah, I actually, because the show was going on during a lot of it, so from 6 to 8, and it was from 4 to 8. So I walked down there and checked it out when I could. We had a couple of breaks and segments, and it was really neat. The turnout was even more than what it was last year, and they had the former or current players down there that were running some of the stations, and just to see how invested they were and making sure that these young girls and young ladies had a great experience and learned and took a lot away. I mean, I said this last night on the show, just kind of taking it in as I walked around down there. Just Coach Will brought this up before the spring game, but just the character of guys that are on this football team. And I mean, I saw Emmett Johnson tackling that circle donut deal, I mean, just how much they pour all into it, and they could just be there going through the motions, but that was not the case. And so there's a number of the big name guys that were there, and just to see it grow. And I think it was just really exciting to see the interest from a lot of young ladies across the state and around this area that are interested in coming and being on the football field and learning about the game. And hopefully it continues to grow. I think it will, though. But, it's been crazy. They've had camps every single day, multiple camps. I've ran into a few of the guys running the camps, and you can tell it's they put a lot of effort into it, and it's a big task to take on. They take a lot of pride in the camps and making sure that they are done top notch, and every single camp that they put on. And so they do such a great job with it, and so not surprising at all that the She's Got Game camp continue to grow, and the turnout was what it was last night.
Jess, on the other front, I mean, so many things happening this past weekend. AJ Ferrari, obviously one of the biggest names to sign with Nebraska wrestling, and that was such huge news. The bigger question for the wrestleheads that are either in our chat or listening, they are wondering what his fit is with Mark Manning in the program. But I think my question with you is, because you know this team so well, and DB's talked about your relationship with the guys and everything. How does he fit just with the guys that he's going to be competing against day in and day out in that practices and when they travel? How does he fit? Because he seems to be such a big personality. Does that type of personality fit within the room?
I'm telling you what, this coaching staff, Mark Manning wouldn't bring in somebody that didn't. So I just have a lot of faith in Coach Manning. You want to talk about a guy that's implemented a program that the guys buy into and that love being a part of that program and believe in it and the direction of it. So I just, wholeheartedly believe that it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's AJ Ferrari or whoever the guy might be any given year, whether it's a freshman or a transfer guy, he's not bringing somebody in that wouldn't fit with the culture, wouldn't be able to be a fit in that wrestling room. So, I've said that from the start, but it was huge news. I mean, this is one of the biggest names in wrestling. And, I think we talked about this last night on the show, but when you start talking about wanting to continue to move up the podium and potentially win a national title, you got to have guys that are racking up points at every weight class. And so, I think this is, they've built it to where they're reloading. And even though, you lose Ridge, I think even the guys the spots that they're filling, they feel really good about the guys that they've been developing. And so there's a lot of excitement around this program. And, Josh Hilkelman, who's our producer, who's been here a long time, we were talking about this, about it seems like there's a lot of excitement and interest in this program. And he said, go back to when Jordan Burroughs was here, it was like a lot of excitement and interest in one guy. But this has been about the most excitement for overall program in a while. So you can feel it. And I think this certainly adds to that excitement with AJ. But yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how it all works out and how he fits in and how it helps him to grow and develop, because that's what Coach Manning is about. Much like this, the messaging you hear from the football program, they're about making sure that the young men leave better than when they came in, that they are making sure that they are ready for the world when they leave there and for whatever comes next. And so I'm excited to see how it all works out for the program. But I know that AJ's flying in tonight. He'll be in Lincoln tonight, and I'm hoping to sit down and chat with him over the next couple of days. So hopefully we'll have that conversation on Sports Nightly coming up here in the next few days.
Well, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but maybe a little teaser here. What's one of the things you're most interested in asking AJ about?
I just think, what was it about Nebraska that I know he's been here before, but what what about Nebraska drew him here, and why he felt like he could fit, I mean, I think that's the question that, you guys just asked it to me. I've been asked it several times over the last few days, just what kind of fit it will be. So I always like to ask that question to all the athletes, what is it about Nebraska that it was the right fit for you? So I think just hearing that and why, he wanted to come here and be a part of what's going on here at Nebraska.
Jess, before we let you go here, I do find it fascinating. You mentioned Mark Manning and kind of the benefit of the doubt that he gets when bringing people on and assuming that this wouldn't have happened unless it was going to be a good fit. Have you seen, as you've watched him over the last few years, have you seen him kind of adapt in certain ways? Because he seemed like the program was kind of at a certain level over the last few years, and then we saw it elevate this past year, and now it looks like they're trying to go to another level. Have you seen some changes from Coach Manning as well while still staying true to his culture?
I mean, I think he's constantly trying to make sure that he's improving. But Mark Manning, one of my first assignments when I was here was the Big Red Blitz, and we were flying all across Nebraska, and Coach Manning was in the party that flying out when I was there. So he's one of the first people I met, and just genuine, nice, one of the nicest human beings. I think if there could be a mayor, there are a lot of coaches that could be the mayor of Nebraska, but I think Mark Manning is certainly at the top of that list. He's so supportive. He's a lot of times when you hear coaches talk about, just the camaraderie between the coaching staff, they'll talk about Mark Manning's one of the first to text people when whatever it is that they might be going through, whether it's a big win or a tough loss. I mean, he is so supportive. That's how he is, and I think that's who he has been to his core. I think he's been genuine to himself, and while maybe he's changed his coaching philosophies, I think he's stayed true to who he is, and I think that's why people buy into it and want to be around him and want to be in that program. And he's true to himself. He is the most genuine, kind-hearted, wants the best for his people. As much, if not more so than anybody I've ever worked with in terms of coaching. And so I think more than anything, he's genuine. And I think we're hearing that kind of messaging with the football program too. You guys had Trey Taylor on yesterday about how honest and real Coach Rule is. I think a lot of it is similar with Coach Manning. He is who he is, and he doesn't, make apologies about it. I think guys are drawn to that and want to be a part of that.
That's Jessica Coody, Husker Sports Network. Jess, I do hope you enjoy the game tonight. I did see it looked like you got to go to a game in Oklahoma City. Is that right?
I was at the closeout game 5. Yeah, it was electric. It was awesome. So I was also, the last time I went to a Thunder game, Russell Westbrook broke the triple-double record. So good things happen when I'm in Oklahoma. Maybe I got to find a way to get down there for the finals.
I was going to say, you may have to make another trip depending on how these couple games in Indiana go. You may have to give them the good juju.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before I let you guys let me go, DB was talking some trash about bunnies earlier. He also, I heard him talking about I got a couple messages, people that were listening in that saying that he's talking trash. He didn't even have a story right. This current dog does not kill bunnies. It was my last dog. It was a Cocker Spaniel that, and I even had neighbors that thanked me because the bunnies were getting, they're rabbits. They're not bunnies, but rabbits that were getting into the garden. This one just likes to chase bunnies. So she just likes to run after them, but she has not caught one. So
okay, we're not one for dog slander on this show.
The second thing, I did not call him a baby. I called him a child when he was being a little bit pouty on the Husker games. And I was walking to my office. I ran into Ridge. I was like, that's the guy that's going to cheer DB up. And his face lit up like a child when Ridge walked into the studio to say hi to him. So
I was going to say,
had to clear up those two things from earlier.
To be fair, you're 100% right. Like, you knew exactly what medicine DB needed to turn his mood around. So honestly, that's impressive.
Robbie, once you know DB, you know how to get him right. Even yesterday, I was like, I know he can go to the right stadium, but can he go to the right place at the stadium? So I had to make sure he knew where to go when he was coming here yesterday. So
yeah, the no DB left behind program, right? We're trying to make sure he gets to the right stadiums, he's getting to the right press boxes, all that good stuff.
I like his chances better in Lincoln than I do Minnesota. we'll just put it that way.
Exactly. Or anywhere, any other town. There's a reason why I had to take over the Uber driving in the morning.
Honestly, it's for the best. Jess, thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get going to continue those interviews. We appreciate your time here. We'll talk again soon, okay?
All right. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for having me on.
That's Jessica Coody, Husker Sports Radio Network. Great stuff from Jess, as always. No dog slander here on the show.
No dog slander. I can't imagine what her and Damon have to go through in those interviews and everything just to hear.
Yeah.
And obviously, people interviewing for the job, like she said, I mean, they want to be respectful, but they also
they want the job.
They want the job.
Yeah,
it's one of the premier jobs,
it's a great job.
Collegiate athletics in this version of media, broadcasting, all that sort of stuff too. I mean, and I guess if you look at it from the opposite side, like if you're someone that is established in broadcasting and you've been trying to work your way up, you're like maybe at a different type of school or you're a different type of broadcaster and you see that the Husker job is open, you probably do know of Greg Sharpe as well. So, I mean, it's just, I can't imagine just hearing that over and over again, but then it's part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I felt bad that we were making her a little emotional there, but I did wonder how difficult this was for them as they, there's certain times when you lose somebody where it feels more real kind of along the way. I have to imagine this is one of the times that it feels the most real that Greg's actually gone because they're trying to find someone to replace him, that has to be incredibly challenging for them as they worked obviously really, really closely with Greg and just everything about him. He was, this just lovely human being that you work with him for any amount of time at all. And it's, he has an impact on your life. So it is, I had been wondering about that, where it's like, this has to be one of those times where it really hits you that he's gone.
Yeah, right.
And that's got to be just really hard.
And who knows how long this process has been going. I mean, it's probably been going on for some time.
Yeah,
but
I imagine months.
But it is one of those where it's just like, you never want to start this process, right?
But you have to at
football
some point.
Season does come around, and you do have to find that and everything. So I just can't imagine. My heart goes out to them, but
for sure.
And also, whoever does get picked, candidate that they have,
it's a lot of pressure.
Good luck.
And
very much. And I mean that sincerely. I know I'm a pot stirrer, as I've been told, but sincerely, very much good luck.
Slightly sarcastic.
A little bit. But it is one of those that.
Oh, it's a huge job to fill.
Yeah.
And not just because of how good he was at the actual job, which he was, but also just because of A, how we felt about him, and then B, obviously how his time ended, both as a human being and as the broadcaster here. It is so emotional and so it's going to be really, really difficult. I remember under very different circumstances when Kent Pavelka got replaced on football with, I believe his name was Warren Swain. He was a guy from West Virginia, and people are like, oh, this guy's not even from here and whatever, and this big thing, and you're coming off of national titles. And I mean, I was upset. I remember I still hear, I can't watch a Tommy Frazier highlight without hearing Kent in my ear go, touchdown, 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 Tommy Frazier. And doing the whole thing, right? And so, and that's leaving under much less dramatic circumstances, or not having the job under much less dramatic circumstances, obviously, than we've got here with Greg. And so I do think people are going to do their best to give the next guy a chance, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be really challenging.
And it will be, it's one of those things too, that I mean, how many times was Greg Sharpe in your car? How many times was Greg, at home with you? How many times were you scrolling through something on your phone over the past decade of the new social media booms and all that other stuff, where we got to hear Greg's call? If you were at the stadium, you didn't get to listen, but then you heard it later.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they do a great job on Sports Nightly talking and including all of these different highlights and all that sort of stuff too. So you got to hear it constantly. I mean, his voice was constantly around, and then
honestly, for me, the big one was baseball this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I consume, because of how weird Big Ten broadcasting schedules are with TV. And a lot of times I like listening to baseball on the radio calls. Baseball's a great radio sport.
It's a great throw up in your kitchen or something and do a lot of other stuff, and you can pay attention. You're just like, yep, I like that.
I like to mow while I'm listening to baseball games.
Same.
It's really easy. It keeps my mind off of what I'm doing, and you can still pay attention to what's going on. So I can't tell you how many times I'm listening to Greg Sharpe just while I'm mowing my lawn doing baseball games. And so that's the one to me where it was kind of challenging this year. I had a hard time listening to some of the broadcasts because it's just feels like Greg should be there with
and not
me.
because of the quality of the broadcast.
Ben
because
and Nick
were
great.
Yeah,
they're terrific. I love Benny Mac. I don't know Nick as well just because we haven't talked to him as much. Although our paths have crossed for a long time. He ironically was an assistant baseball coach at Miller North when I was there. Our paths have crossed for a long time, but I feel like I know Benny Mack better just because we've talked to him a lot.
It's like that friend or family member that you can't call for like whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
I know. I was talking to, I think I was talking to like my parents about it, and I remember like when Greg passed away, I was trying to like kind of explain all this because Greg was great to me and like small term stuff. I knew him loosely, but I was on the younger side, and of course, when you're in Nebraska and you want to be like a sports broadcaster, you email Greg Sharpe and you're like, hey, can you listen to this? Like, what do you think? And there's no reason he needed to listen to like my rinky-dink stuff, but he did, and he would always like send critiques back, and he would always do that, and he I had like interviewed for a position that had been open like last year or a year and a half ago at the Husker Radio Network. When I got to meet Jess, I got to meet Greg and everything. And he was like, oh, I do remember. I remember you like sending me a bunch of emails. And I was like, I'm so sorry I bothered you with that. But it was so weird. Like when he had passed away, I was like telling my mom about it. And I was like, it is odd because it feels like I can't, like you can't talk to him anymore. But yet he was the one always talking to us.
Yeah.
And so it's just that weird, like, just that odd feeling in your gut where you just don't know, like you don't know how to express it. Yeah.
Something's just missing, right?
Yeah.
And that is really that's going to be, I think, the hardest part for a lot of people. You could hear it in Jess's voice as she talked about going through this upcoming football season without Greg. Like you can tell it's going to be really challenging for people. And I do appreciate how diligently they're kind of working through this. And I'm sure they'll pick a great candidate, and I'm sure we'll end up loving him. But it's going to be a hard first year without him.
Yeah, and
for sure.
And it'll be interesting to see the role that whoever it is, whatever the role is, whether they fill in, for the network, all that kind of stuff. And when they start, are they going to start, Big Ten media days? How much time will they have to move if it's somebody from somewhere else in the nation? So it'll be an interesting process to see as we go over the next month.
For sure. Let's take a quick break here. We will come back with more Hurrdat Sports Live, but don't forget, here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, we've got our summer menu up and rocking. That's not just food. I got the summer drinks as well. Got the orange dreamsicle drink. You got the breezy lemonade. And listen, Hurrdat Sports, I don't know if you know this about us. We're a big hot dog company. Chicago dogs here as well.
I did do a hot dog delivery to the office yesterday.
You did. I did end up getting a Costco hot dog yesterday. I was thrilled to death about it. Not as good as the Chicago dogs here at Sports Bar and Grill, though. And make sure you come check it out along with all of the other summer menu. Just some good old ballpark food. It's that time of year. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We'll be back more at Sports Live.
Well, we have an awful lot to pitch kids on here. I think you start with the city of Omaha. I mean, this is the capital of college baseball. We talk about it all the time. And my exposure to Omaha was as a player, as an assistant coach, as an associate head coach. I've been blessed enough to come here as a participant in the College World Series 3 different times. So my exposure to Omaha was always at its very highest limit in terms of these 2 weeks are incredible. And so I think we start with what the city of Omaha means to this whole baseball process and where it stands in the hierarchy of college baseball in this country. Then the education speaks for itself. I mean, you're getting one of the top private educations in the country. I think we will talk about the experience of our coaching staff and the amount of players we've passed on to professional and Major League Baseball. We've had a ton of success as it relates to teams and winning and going to World Series and Super Regionals. So I really think that this is an opportunity that if you're one of the premier players, it checks all the boxes, and that's what we feel. Now, will we get every recruit? No. Do we have some limitations? It's a little colder here early in the year than a lot of places that have these same check marks, but it's a pretty darn attractive package, and we're going to go out there and try to attract the best players we possibly can.
I'm Ravi Lulla.
I'm Kenny Bell.
We're here from Hurrdat Sports. Don't worry, Metro Transit has you covered right here on the ballpark bus. It's gonna run from right here down by the stadium, north of downtown, all the way up to Dodge Street, making a circle to drop you off wherever you need to go.
Oh, beautiful. So what's it cost?
It is free. It runs every 10 minutes, and it'll run almost all day until an hour after the last game. Or Kenny, if you're like me, you don't want to deal with driving downtown at all, Metro Transit has you covered there too. You can park out at West Roads for free and get a ride downtown through Orbit.
That's right. They added an extra Orbit stop at 10th and Capitol. Only $1.25. Fills up after the game. Quick, nice service right back out to West Roads.
$2.50 round trip, can't beat it.
And free parking? You kidding me?
Plan your trip or track your bus at myride.ometro.com.
Or download the MyRide OMA app.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you that learning about money and finances doesn't have to be boring. Centrist Federal Credit Union has a free online education center called Enrich. With personalized content specific to your financial journey, this platform offers tools and resources to help you on the path to success. Plus, you can earn points for completing tasks and activities, which can be converted into giveaways for entries and maybe win even $1,000 in sweepstakes. Go to centristfcu.enrich.org to start enriching your financial goals. All right, Austin.
Yes.
So I don't know. I know you spend a lot of time on the internet.
What makes you think that?
It's kind of your job.
Oh, fair.
A little bit.
That's fair. Junior meme producer.
Did you?
I did change my changed my Twitter bio to that. So
Did you?
It's an official change.
You do love making a good meme.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see our friend Caleb Henry?
Yes.
Putting together kind of an all-century team, which is the last 25 years of Nebraska football. And the one that popped up on my feed the other day was quarterbacks and running backs. He was trying to put together the backfield. And I feel like the running backs got a lot of opinions, is what I'll call it.
Yes.
In trying to figure out, because I think he was going to pick two of them, the two best running backs.
And it's of the past 25 seasons of Husker football,
Yeah,
right?
so
Okay.
2000 to present. Who are the best running backs in Nebraska football history? Now, I thought personally that this was a very easy decision.
I think so too, but I'm afraid we're going to be on completely opposite sides of this.
I think there's only three guys that are even up for
Okay,
discussion.
but let me clear the parameters, right? We're not creating a team like we want to be like an ultra competitive team. These are like the best.
Just the guys that had the best.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
The guys that had the best careers at Nebraska.
Right, because like if I'm picking like my complimentary backs or like that sort of thing.
No.
Okay.
You don't need to pick like a fast guy and a big guy. It's the guys that had the. To me, this is how I did it.
I can narrow it to two, but I can pick three.
There's three guys that I think are in the discussion, and I think that's it for me.
All right.
Personally.
Past 25 years.
Past 25 years, and I think it's pretty easy.
It should be, yes.
So Amir Abdullah's
number
questions
one,
asked,
yes.
right?
He should be the number one, easy,
Like,
no bar, yeah.
Absolutely no question.
And he could return kicks for you if you wanted. So, yeah.
Toss it in there, a little bonus as well. But that's, I mean, no questions asked whatsoever. Amir Abdullah is on the list.
I'm interested in your two.
The only other two guys that are up for discussion to me, now there's a third guy that I have an affinity for, but I'm not going to put him in this category.
Okay.
The two guys that are up for discussion to me are Roy Halou and Rex Burkhead.
Okay, then boom. Yep. Those were my three. And in fact, you may not like this, but if I had to only pick two, is that what the list is? Is it only two or is it three?
Yeah, it's two.
So if it's two, I'm going Amir and I'm going Roy.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Okay, there you
I'm
go.
a
Wow,
Roy-
look at us. Wow. Great show, everybody.
I'm a Roy Halou guy. Now, can you guess who the fourth guy was that I have an affinity for that I think does not get the credit that he deserves?
Brandon Jackson?
I do love Brandon
Okay.
Jackson. He only had the one really good
And that's
year
why
for
I thought maybe
Nebraska.
you would kind of give him the benefit of the doubt with that. I guess the other one would maybe be Dan Alexander.
I'm not a big Dan
Okay.
Alexander
Okay, gotcha.
guy.
Then
I'm not.
My first formative years of Husker football were the Marlon Lucky years. So I would always say that.
So that's who it is.
Really? Okay.
Marlon Lucky.
Marlon Lucky to me, I remember even
Better
watching.
than people think.
I remember watching as a kid, and it was one of those that I always thought he was this great running back, but then I remember watching him in the games, and I was always like, man, I just wish he would do a little bit more. So maybe I'm misremembering that because it was, my formative years of football.
Part of it is he's a victim of his recruiting ranking.
Okay,
Part
true.
of it.
Yeah, good
he
point.
was very highly touted, very highly recruited. Here's the thing about Marlon Lucky, though. He was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a little bit up and down. He did have once Bo came in, he kind of got left to the side a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
But his junior year, my guy went 1,000 yards rushing at 4.9 a carry.
It's pretty good.
And had 700 yards receiving.
That's really good.
He had 1,700 total yards of offense. That dude was good.
Very good.
He had the year before that, he had 1,100 yards of total offense as well. Now, it ended kind of on a little bit of a sputter because he wasn't used by Bo the same way he was.
Well, and then people obviously remember that time
Not
frame as
fondly.
well. Yeah, and so
Right.
I think he gets lumped into kind of the sour taste of that end of that Callahan regime as well.
So I wouldn't put him in. He's not in conversation for the top 3 for me, but I did want to bring him up because I do think he was a very good back. I don't think he gets a ton of credit. And to me, the Halou versus Burkhead thing is pretty easy because Burkhead's senior year, he was banged up.
Yep,
He didn't
right.
have, the numbers, even though he was really good when he played, didn't really have the numbers. He only carried the ball 98 times that
I
year.
think people forget how much of a home run hitter Roy Halou was too. I mean,
Roy
seriously.
Halou could go get it.
Yeah, and not saying that Rex never had those big opportunities, but he was a 30 carry guy and beat your brains in until
And Rex
until
was,
you seeded, and then he was that's how he won the
Rex
game.
was beloved.
Yes.
He was a guy that we just loved.
Mhm.
And I get that. And he was part of the big comeback against Ohio State, which was, he's got that jump cut on the swing pass that takes it and gives Nebraska the lead that we all really remember there. Or I think that one tied it.
Mhm.
But so we kind of have really fond memories of Rex. And then we've also got, the Team Jack thing with Rex as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of burned in our memories.
But like KB says in the chat too, the Missouri game for Roy, it was 1 in 3 plays.
Unbelievable. That dude
nuts.
was so good. Can you guess yards per carry for Roy Halou for his career?
Ooh, for his career. Was he also a 4.8, 4.9, somewhere up there?
You're off by a whole yard.
Is he a 5?
He's a 5'9" guy.
Boy, oh my God,
He's a
good for him.
5'9" guy. So we had 2 seasons.
Now, did he share the backfield with someone? Why was he?
He did a little bit. So him and Burkhead do overlap a little.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that was
And
actually
then
the really good string of backs. I forgot about that.
I think, who did Amir overlap with?
Rex
With
as well.
Rex on the back
and then
end.
they also had was it Braylon Hurd in there too?
Braylon Hurd
and Terrell Newby.
Terrell Newby, I think, was a
later?
little later. He was in the Riley era.
Was it Monty Cross in the Amir
It
Abdullah?
was the guy, Aaron Green, that ended up at Texas
right.
Christian.
Yep. There's another one.
He
Yep.
was, and Amir was the least highly touted of the group. But yeah, so Amir and Rex overlapped, and then Rex and Roy overlapped. So you had this really nice run of running backs there. But to me, it is clearly Amir and Roy Halou, and I do not think it's close.
Yeah, and I think I could see people making the arguments for Rex, and DB would know better about the pass protection stuff and all that other jazz. But again, if we're talking the 2 best careers,
I'm just talking about runners,
all that sort of stuff, I would definitely take Roy and Amir, and especially what Amir was for Nebraska football in that moment. I mean, the Fear Amir campaigns, the Heisman Trophy, attempted run, all of that stuff was great.
And he covered up for some big warts for that offense.
A lot, yeah.
I'm just looking at you, McNeese State. That dude was helping out a lot and doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
The receivers would be interesting to get into.
The receivers would be interesting, and the quarterbacks, I think, are very interesting.
25 years.
We might be able to get to that later.
Okay.
Coming up next, though, we're going to talk a little Oregon State baseball right here on Hurrdat Sports Live with Rich Dorman, assistant coach for Oregon State, to preview College World Series.
I mean, I want everyone that comes, obviously, to learn, but I want them to discover the joy and fun of playing this game, catching, running, competing. I think sometimes, especially when we talk about youth sports, they can get overly competitive. Part of this to me is about teaching people where they are and bringing them along and growing the game, one person at a time. And I also want them to be out here playing on this field. We're also growing the fan base. We're growing tomorrow's season ticket holder. We're growing tomorrow's, Husker fan. So I know Harper Murray, she's going to come out and talk to the student athletes as well. So I think it's just a really cool day.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Hurrdat Sports is pleased to bring you the NEB Prep 77th State Championship this year, hosted by Bellevue West, June 16th and 17th of 2025. June 16th, the first day, will be pool play. 18 teams from across the state battling it out for this trophy. On June 17th will be the championship game at 3 p.m. Bracket play will begin at 10 a.m. on June 17th. We'll see you there.
You had a lot of accolades come your way. You were the national high school linebacker. Then you also have this award that you're up for as well. How do you stay motivated despite all the success that you've had?
Yeah, I'm not really motivated by any awards or anything. Just getting better every single day is what I'm motivated by, and being myself that I was yesterday.
And then, of course, coming back here for Westside and representing Omaha. What does it mean for you to be an athlete from Omaha, now moving on to the next level?
Yeah, I would say a lot of college dudes don't really give you the benefit of the doubt being from Nebraska, because if you're from Texas or Florida, they'll be like, oh, he's probably a dude. But I'm here to put Nebraska on the map and, just make Nebraska a big name.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Keljo comes set. Nelly's 3-2 pitch taken. Strike three called. The Beavers return to Omaha. Nelson Keljo flexes, throws his glove towards his own dugout, and is mobbed by his teammates as the Beavers celebrate the return to the College World Series, winning the decisive Super Regional game by a final score. The Beavers 14, Florida State 10, a wild one, an exciting one from start to finish.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Rich Dorman, Oregon State assistant baseball coach. Rich, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us here. So I got to go and start with your journey through regionals and super regionals here to get to Omaha, because it hasn't exactly been the smoothest of sailing. You drop your first regional game to St. Mary's, come all the way back, win that one. And then the Florida State Super Regional was wild, really from start to finish. Obviously, that game one where you guys were up against it, end up winning in extras, lose game two. And then you've got a very strange game three where you get out to a huge lead and Florida State just keeps chipping away, and you guys are able to hold on. What, like, as you're going through that set of games through regionals and super regionals, how were you impressed by the mindset of your team to just be able to continue to get to the next pitch, the next inning, the next game?
Yeah, I mean, the overall vibe in the dugout was just, they were so relentless. Because in the past, we've gotten up big, and you could kind of feel everyone just kind of relaxed and just go into coast mode. But, you know, the guys were determined to get it done. And, you know, credit to Florida State, their relentless offense. And we kind of held them in check for 2 games. And then, obviously, there wasn't a lot of missed barrels in that last game. But, you know, the guys did a great job of making plays and making pitches. You know, Zach Kamat did an amazing job of getting some zeros towards the end. And I know he ended up giving up 2 runs from the 9th inning, but he came out 2 1/3 with no runs allowed. And it was great job by the guys to stay relentless and get it done.
Coach, how battle tested is your team? Not just also in the terms of quality opponents that you've had to face with the regular season, super regionals to get to Omaha, but just the amount of travel. I was scrolling through your guys' schedule. I mean, you guys have like miles points for days. You could probably just use all of those for next season if you needed to.
I mean, at one point I just kept all my clothes in one suitcase and just kind of came in, washed them, put them back in the suitcase, and away we went. I mean, it was, you know, the trip from Hawaii to Iowa was wild.
I can't imagine there's too many people on that connecting flight.
Yeah, no, it was. We barely got off the plane and the charter bus back to Corvallis and then back on the bus.
Oh.
I think that's one thing everyone, you know, we forget to remember is like that charter bus ride to PDX from Corvallis isn't 15 minutes. You know, it's another good 40-hour, 45, maybe 2, who knows, and you're doing that, and then all the flights, but you know, again, our guys handled it well, and I think we're ready for this. I know we're ready for this opportunity that they earned, being on the road as much as we had, and you know, I kind of made a joke in the clubhouse after we lost the first game to St. Mary's, and I was like, well, we're just getting our home game total up, so it was kind of funny. Of course, we're going to have to play 4 or 5 more games. You know, we got to get more home games in.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, so as you kind of go throughout this season, is there a point where you kind of thought to yourself, hey, this is where, you know, as you look back and as you kind of preparing for the CWS here, is there a point where you look back and you're like, hey, that is a moment that really shaped who we became as a team this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was the weekend where we dropped 4 to the guys down south, and I mean, that was more of a gut punch than I think people realize. And you know, we turned that negative thing into a positive opportunity to get better and to figure out, credit to them. They did a great job of exploiting our weaknesses, and our guys, had to go on the road again the next 2 weekends. And I think since that point, we were 15-4-1 or something like that, or 15-3-1. But yeah, that was not a fun weekend, and our guys responded well to that moment.
Coach, is there, as we go through postseason in college baseball, it's set up so much differently for the most part than your regular season, and you tend to have guys that kind of didn't get as many opportunities during the regular year that you end up relying on pretty heavily if you're going to go ahead and make a deep run in the baseball postseason. Who are some of those guys that you've looked at that have either already stepped up or you're looking at for this upcoming week and hopefully week and a half for you in Omaha where you go, hey, we're going to need a little bit more than we've had a chance to see from some of these guys?
Well, to be honest, I feel like the guys are starting to come to the surface right now. I mean, you look at the way Weber stepped up, the way Caraway's stepping it up, the way our starting pitching's been stepping it up, and the depth of our bullpen is starting to, come out. I referenced him twice now, but he's done a tremendous job, coming in, filling up the low zone, and just the overall growth as a unit, where we're just finding ways to win games. And it doesn't matter if we got to score a bunch or we don't score a bunch, and we play really good defense. And, Jacob Craig's putting together some really good at-bats towards the end of this thing. And, it's time for us just to keep going. And we're grateful that, we're able, again, we have this opportunity in front of us. And yeah.
Coach, I know you mentioned a couple of those guys that have stepped up for you just in, the past couple of weeks. Was there a moment or maybe one of those games in the super regional or the regional that you hosted that you noticed that the team kind of took that extra turn if they started to step up their game here late?
Well, I feel like anytime your backs are against the wall like it was after that first game, and for whatever reason maybe we put too much pressure on ourselves, maybe it was the lack of conference tournament, which I don't think any of these factors had anything to do with it, but the fact that our whole team, everybody within our program was responsible for that first loss, and nobody put blame on anybody else. We just decided to take the high road and show up ready to play the next day. And I knew, we have Dax Whitney on the mound and we're playing TCU in an elimination game. And I knew from that moment on, we won that ball game. Like, we're going to be really, really tough to stop, and the guys are going to gain confidence, and we're really going to come together as a ball club.
Coach, best of luck to you this week as you head up to Nebraska. It'll be great to see the Beavers back in Omaha, as we've gotten pretty accustomed to seeing them over the last handful of years. Appreciate your time, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's Rich Dorman, assistant coach for Oregon State baseball. Appreciate him joining us here this morning. I'm a little salty since I like Florida State. They knocked them off. It's okay. Wishing the best for them.
You want to talk about a crazy super regional?
No, that was wild.
That's crazy. I mean, we're talking about probably one of the hardest trips you could possibly take for two college baseball programs.
Especially considering where Florida State was seeded. Like, they're a 9 seed. They were just outside of being one of the top 8 regional seeds. They have to get sent all the way across the country to Corvallis, which is a tough draw for them. Tough draw for Oregon State, too, as well, to be fair. As a actual, national top 8 seed,
right,
to draw Florida State, we're not really doing them any favors, but they like the versatility of kind of the different types of games he was talking about there. You had a 5-4, I believe a 3-1, and then a 14-10. That's basically all the types of baseball games you can play within a super regional.
Yeah.
And they were able to win 2 out of 3 there. So their versatility and how they can win games, I think, is going to be interesting as they get here to Omaha. I do still think Arkansas and LSU are by far the favorites here, but I do think a team like Oregon State's really interesting.
Well, and I like the way that Oregon State, I think I might be their number one champion heading into the CWS, because just the way that their schedule was set up, the amount of different levels and layers of baseball that they have played, had to travel to, go witness, go see the different style of players. I mean, there's not a team that might be more prepared for the different levels of teams and athletes you're going to find in Omaha in a tournament style.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of it too. I don't think anyone, even Oregon State would probably claim to you too, they're like, we're probably not the most talented team here, but I don't know if you could argue that anyone's had to kind of deal with everything else that happened throughout the season as much as Oregon State had to. I mean, we just heard it, that they were getting off a plane from Hawaii, getting on a plane to go to Iowa City. Sounds like the worst type of flight ever.
After a 2-hour bus drive back up to Corvallis. I will say, we were talking to Jay Johnson yesterday, and some of those SEC teams, their schedule shaped up really differently than a team like Oregon State. Obviously, the lack of a conference was a big issue there. But, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, almost 70% of LSU's games were at home over the course of a 63-ish game season, including regionals and supers. So you're looking at it, you're like, okay, that's a really, really good team. They probably haven't experienced some of the things that an Oregon State has. Will it matter? I don't know. But it is something that's kind of in the back of my mind. Speaking of odds, though, and favorites. So Hurrdat Sports, the Twitter account.
Are we talking Jello shots?
Yeah, so they put out unofficial Jello shot board odds.
Can't bet on these.
Cannot bet on these. These are not official odds. These are just for entertainment purposes only. But the fact that LSU is plus money here is insane.
Yeah,
it's a good thing we don't run a sports book, because we would take a bath on that.
We need to talk over our odds people, because I don't think these. I don't know if who created this is a sports gambler understands that, because they would have been negative by many.
Yeah,
many numbers.
I'm talking minus 250.
Yes, at least at minimum.
Now I do think Arkansas is correct at being second.
Yep.
And I think that number's about right at plus 150.
My favorite part of this graphic is UCLA, because that was a pitiful performance on their Jello shots the last time.
So
out.
here's
my
only objection is I just don't know how many people Murray State's bringing.
That's good point.
Because volume matters here in terms of that's part of the reason. LSU is both partiers and volume in terms of the number of people here. I think Murray State might get – I do think UCLA should be last. I think Murray State should be closer to plus 5,000.
It's also interesting that Arizona – because Arizona State's like their sister school. They're just
Party
down the road,
school,
big party school.
Arizona,
why does Arizona not get that type of love?
They don't come with strong numbers. At least they haven't in recent
Yeah.
past. So I think that's an issue.
They can't deal with the humidity.
It's a dry heat. That is what we're told. It will not be a dry heat this year.
And Murray State probably needs to bring everybody if they're going to beat LSU.
I mean, they're not going to beat LSU for sure. We're talking about a battle for last place.
They don't have that Raising Cane's numbers. That's what we're talking
They don't have that Raising Cane's money. I'm going to look up Murray State's enrollment here real quick, because I am curious. Yeah, so they only had 8,000 people.
In total enrollment?
Enrolled. That's fall of 2023, so it's a couple years old. But so that's going to be an issue there. I don't think we're going to have the sheer volume of numbers. I will say the most pathetic performance that we've seen, I believe, was Stanford. Stanford was here a couple years back, and it was embarrassing.
Well, I mean, they're not peanut shots or anything like that,
So if they were like,
can I get just a nice little red, please?
If they were like Prosecco shooters, we might have a little different deal.
Make that into some Jello, mix it all together.
Austin, appreciate you helping me out again here for the last hour today. That's the show. That's all we got.
Woo. A whirlwind.
We'll be back.
A full DB tomorrow?
I have no idea.
I kind of like working out here. I don't know if I distract you or not.
You're welcome to hang out here. I don't care.
Big reactionary guy. Trying to get Rico to come out here too, but I'm afraid that our workflow will be
hindered.
Yes.
No,
I almost said tainted, but I didn't want to use that. But
I like to look over there because I can't really see Shane, so I like to get. Sometimes DB gives me a hard time, so I like to see if I'm being funny or not. I like to see if the jokes land. So I'm like, oh, Austin's laughing. I got one.
See, now that you say that, Rico and I are going to come and work here one day, and we're just going to be completely silent the entire time.
I don't know that you guys are capable of that.
You're probably not wrong.
I don't know. I've been to the office. I don't know if that's in the cards. Austin, we appreciate it. Shane, thank you as always. DB and I will be back tomorrow morning on Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.